Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2026.
Yeah, it couldn't come fast enough. So that little kitty you saw in the opening credits there, she's back here. She's right here.
Back
She's right here.
there.
She's waiting. This is lap time.
Yeah, this is normally when she's sitting on his lap.
And she's pouting right now because
she's really pouting.
she can't be on my lap, but I can go get her and bring her and show her.
If you want.
No, she's happy now. She was making noise earlier.
Yeah.
She wants lap time. But or
itchy.
Laptop time. Uh-oh, you're suddenly itchy.
Suddenly very itchy.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Are you allergic to our audience?
I'm allergic to the cat. That's okay.
Well, if she starts licking her butt, I'll just
she
do that.
won't do that. She better
She's
not
been known
do
to
that.
do that. Yeah.
How's everybody doing? Happy New Year. We hope everybody had a wonderful New Year's Eve. We watched Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm. We still have.
We cleaned the house today, which is a good thing to do on the first day of the year.
Yeah.
This is just water. It's not
I know.
alcohol.
I was gonna drink more, but I knew I had a show to do. So.
Yeah. No, we're good.
Yeah. We used to do cocktails while we were doing our show.
We used to, but we've turned over a new leaf-ish.
Well, health issues have kind of caused that too. I think but.
Let us know if you can hear us. Why don't you put it on the chat?
Yeah.
Let us know if you guys can hear us okay.
Chat is on.
And I think you put the wrong title in for Rumble. I'm going to see if I can go in and fix that.
Okay, I know. I put the wrong date.
The wrong date or something.
Yeah,
so,
for Rumble, it's the wrong date. It was December 25th.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can fix that remotely. I don't know if I'll be able to.
I know. Well, I think it was because I put in, oh, you know what? It still says 2025. It says December 31st, 2025.
Well, that's okay. It should say January 1st, 2026.
We were gonna do the show originally on December last night. So
yeah, I mean, we're all.
I haven't done it. I haven't had. Well, okay.
We're totally screwed up. We don't know.
Our last bookmark was in April of 2025. So it's been about 8 months since we've done a bookmark, and so I had to find all my resources for it and make sure that I had the kitty cat beginning, opening, the whenever we feel like it video.
Right. So I don't know how to do this. I would have to get into the dashboard.
CD7382. Happy New Year. Your audio is good. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
great.
Thank you.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We're using the Samson satellite microphone. It's a very stylish looking microphone. It's right here. It's very cool. You can't see how cool it is because it's facing up. Anyway,
trust us.
Trust us. It's awesome. Look it up. You can go to the Samson
website. So what you're looking at is the January 1st, 2026 broadcast. It is not December 25th, 2025, and nor is it December 31st, 2025. It's actually January 1st, 2026. And when this is over, I'll go in and edit the titles and edit everything, and it'll be correct.
You're awesome, Julie.
So you'll just have to trust us that it really is January 1st, 2026, and we're not in some sort of weird time warp.
Yeah.
Although
it's just a step to the left.
What?
It's just a step to the left.
Although I don't even know what that means, but it feels, I'm sure there are people in our audience that do know what that means.
Yeah, let us know if you do.
I don't know what that means.
And then it's back to the right.
So I promise you that it really is January 1st, 2026, because I've been waiting for this day for an entire year. Since January of 2025, I've been waiting for it to be January 2026.
So, seriously, we're gonna walk through some of the reasons why we've been looking forward to this day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I don't so while you're doing this, I'm gonna just say so. December 31st, 2024. So actually, this incident took place 4 a.m. on exactly a year ago, January 1st, 2025. There was a false flag event in New Orleans, which is just under 90 minutes away drive from where we live right now. And we were there like at Christmas, right before Christmas. So we had only been there a week before.
And then we went back.
Yeah.
After the snow.
Yeah, a couple weeks later. So this was a signal for an event in this region. Now, so check it out. Yeah. So after that, there was snow. We'll get into that in a second. But Super Bowl was happening in New Orleans that year as well. So last January, Super Bowl, February, whatever it is, I don't, whatever. And so we both were like, oh shit, here it comes. You know, now they're going to start attacking New Orleans. As if Katrina wasn't enough, even though that was 20 years ago, it's people still talk about it. The funny thing is though, it hit where we live harder, like massively harder. They're still like repairing things.
We were not living here when this happened.
We were not here when that happened.
We should clarify.
We need to qualify that. We were living in that landmass between New Orleans and Mobile, which is what they were calling that. The media.
We weren't living.
We weren't living there, but they were. Oh, we are. You're right. We weren't living.
We didn't.
But we're living here now. We're living in that landmass. That's what I'm talking about in the present tense. I was talking to somebody.
It's like a comedy hour.
It is. I was talking to.
Here we have all these really, really serious things we need to talk about, and forget it.
I was talking to somebody last night on a bike ride for New Year's Eve bike ride, and she was telling me that so when Katrina hit, the news media called Mississippi a landmass between New Orleans and Mobile, Alabama.
Right.
And people here still are like upset. They're really upset. Yeah, and I would be too, right?
So
So
I was living in Chicago at the time, and you were living in San Francisco
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a brewery in Hattiesburg, which is about maybe an hour away from here, and they're more inland, and they have some good IPAs and stuff, but they also have a limited, more premium beer that they put out called Landmass.
That's actually really funny.
It is funny.
What's the brewery?
It's called. It just escaped me.
Oh, and where is it again?
It's in Hattiesburg.
Okay.
It's oh hell, what's the name of it?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I just like it just went
It's
out of my head.
Hattiesburg. It doesn't matter.
It's Hattiesburg.
I'm
it doesn't
kidding.
matter. Well, our local brewing company is making waves and kind of spreading out and getting into the area. They're called Fly Llama, and Fly Llama as in that llama is fly.
The llama is fly.
It is. It has a scarf, and the logo is a llama with a scarf.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I'm looking to how to get into the YouTube studio from the app.
Yeah.
So that I can change.
You might not be able to change anything while we're in progress.
We're in progress.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be after the fact. I'll put up a thumbnail after the fact anyway, so we'll make those changes. Okay. So for those of you who are tuning in now and saw that it was December 25th, 2025, tonight is not. Tonight is
January 1st, 2026. Happy New Year.
Happy News Year.
Yeah.
So happy News Year, because we're gonna talk about some things. So false flag event in New Orleans.
False flag event in New Orleans happened exactly 1 year ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was around 4 a.m. on January 1st, 2025. And, the media will claim that about a dozen people were murdered
or killed,
killed in some sort of drive-by event.
Well, it was a terrorist attack. A guy driving a pickup truck, and he went from the main street, which is Canal, and made a sharp right turn up. I don't know. It was
Bourbon or something.
Yeah, Chapatulas or one of those.
The problem with it is that at 4 a.m., I know New Orleans is a big party town. Believe me, we only live about an hour away.
We've seen evidence of it.
We've seen evidence of the party town. But I can guarantee you that people were asleep and at home, and the streets were empty at 4 a.m.
At least mostly.
So it
was in the French Quarter where the attack took place, which is a very tight space.
And the French Quarter rolls up. I mean, it rolls up at 2 a.m. and it's dead. There are some places, maybe here and there, a little off the beaten track that will stay open till 4 a.m. But honestly, this story is so unbelievable.
So partly, part of the problem with it is that the turn that they made from Canal into the French Quarter it's not an easy turn to make.
Right.
And if this person was, had death on their minds to kill people, they would have had to been going up faster, and the streets are really narrow. So that is possible. That is probable. But, the thing is that they found like an ISIS flag or some shit like that in like propaganda. You know, all the trappings of like, well, we're in the CIA, and let's think about how we can make this look like it's an attack by a terrorist. Oh, I know. Let's put a flag in there, and let's put, I'm
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they're smarter than that, but they always go
Are
for
they?
the obvious. Well,
It's
yeah,
just-
because they can.
they keep
Well, they're not creative. They use the
Exactly.
same story over and over again, and the same
Yeah.
little tricks and stuff. So
so the cat is
yeah, well, she's going to
going
be the cat,
nuts.
and
Okay.
she's fine. So
Alright.
she's sniffing the Mississippi coaster in the background.
Okay.
She's settling in. That's Roxy, by the way, if you don't know.
That's her name.
That's her name.
Yeah.
Okay, so then later in January, fast forward about a week or two, we get a freak snowstorm in the Gulf Coast.
Right. So we moved here. So we left San Francisco in 2018. We lived in Pittsburgh for 3 years or 5 years, and then we
Pittsburgh,
moved.
Pennsylvania.
And then we moved here in 2023, specifically to get away from snow.
And closer to the ocean. And to get away, yeah, we left the snow shovel and the salt at the house that
so
we
the
sold.
Gulf Coast was covered with like 9 feet of snow.
It wasn't just a couple inches; it was a good foot.
I talked to people in Florida who were like, "Oh yeah, you had that little light dusting of snow."
No, we had
back
at least
in the beginning of the year.
we had about a
that's
foot
like
to
telling
2 feet.
that's like telling people in 2005, "Oh yeah, you had a little storm called Katrina."
Right.
I suddenly felt what those people have been feeling for the last 20 years. I've only lived here for a few years. And I suddenly felt what they felt because my face got really red. I was like, no, we were under 9 feet of snow. This is what happened to us in January of 2025, a year ago.
And it hit New
We
Orleans,
were
too.
quarantined. All businesses were closed. All small businesses were closed. There were no snow plows, because why would the Gulf Coast ever have snow plows? That's like saying to Florida, oh, you better stock up on your snow plows and your salt for all those, icy rains you get. Come on. So we had no snow plows, we had no salt, we had no snow shovels, we had no way to dig out of the snow. All of the businesses were closed.
Except for Bicycle Works.
At least 2 weeks, probably a couple of weeks. Everybody was quarantined, stuck inside. Schools were closed. Everything was shut down. Now people, of course, because people are people, they go out and have fun. They have snowball fights right out inside. We live in a house that is lots of windows. Like we're like in a fishbowl. People walk by and wave at us while we're eating dinner. Like they can see through our windows and see us eating dinner
or breakfast
or whatever. This podcast probably. So it's like we saw everybody was just waist deep in snow. Like
it wasn't waist deep, but it was.
They were having a great time, and the
yeah.
snow was not just a dusting.
No,
it was so much so that we were quarantined.
Yeah.
That we were shut down. It was another lockdown.
Right.
So this is what I've been
Weather
saying.
Warfare, right?
Yeah. So this is what I've been saying for a long time. Back in 2020 when COVID was sprung on us, and what a lot of people were saying is, this isn't going to come in the form of jackbooted thugs putting bars on your doors and standing outside your house with guns to make sure that you don't leave. They're just going to not plow the snow. They're just going to let infrastructure fall apart. They're just going to suddenly close down your post offices and stop delivering your mail. I mean, this is what fascism looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in the form of your managers making your life hell.
So New Orleans first gets this terrorist attack,
right?
And then less than a month later, just a couple weeks later, we all get snow.
We go
a week later after the snow kind of like clears, and it's still a little cold. There's still little patches here and there because we were used to that, like in Pittsburgh, but people around here were like kind of surprised that it didn't go away right away. But anyway, we were able to drive to New Orleans because we were going to go see a show, a music performance.
Who was it?
I think it was.
Do you remember?
I do. It was. That's not coming to me though, but I can look it up.
Was it at HOB?
No, it was at the Joy Theater.
The Joy, was it the Kills?
No,
No.
I don't. It was either the Kills or it was the. I need my calendar. It was either the Kills or not Fantagram. Fantagram.
Oh, it was Fantagram.
Yeah, it was Fantagram.
It was Fantagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two similar bands, so that's why you mix them up, right?
They're not that similar.
Well, they're similar in that there's two
not.
members of the band.
Oh, that's true.
And they're one male, one female, right?
Right.
And neither of them are married to each other.
Right.
In both cases, right?
Exactly.
So yeah. So anyway, so we went to see a show, but we were there, and there were snowbanks still, like
dirty snowbanks,
and it was kind of crazy. Felt like Pittsburgh again for us, right?
So
but it was New Orleans.
I felt like I was in the upside down. So I'm living in the Gulf Coast, which is not known for snow, and I'm covered in snow, and I'm under lockdown again, and I'm under quarantine again, and I'm like, and not only is this happening, because the thing about COVID is that when it happened, we were all collectively coming together, cooperatively, like connecting through this emotional fascism that was taking over our life. We were all like, this is bullshit. Like every single one of us, like it didn't matter where we stood with our political ideologies, right? Or whatever. It was like, we are all going through this and this is bullshit. But when he and I went through it earlier this year in January of 2025, or, a year ago, it was just this small community of Gulf Coast residents and some New Orleans, even Florida, which Florida is like the butt of everyone's joke. Everyone, all of the shitty politics happen in Florida. All the weather warfare programs seem to happen in Florida.
Yeah.
All the shenanigans go on in Florida because, that's where Trump is. And so there's like a spotlight on there to kind of fuck with Florida. But so Florida, I thought, okay, so Florida would at least show some solidarity with us, for being under feet of snow and being quarantined and locked down. And Floridians were like, oh, that little dusting you got, how sweet was that?
It's because all the people that live in Florida are from fucking New York.
And I'm like, wait a minute. It wasn't, you're
New
supposed
Jersey.
to be in solidarity with us.
Because they're Florida.
This was
There's
so
jokes about Florida because it's Florida.
So emotionally, I was feeling very disillusioned and very depressed. I felt like I was, in the upside down, like things were really turning around, and I just felt really like disconnected with some kind of reality. Like I just was having a really hard time with it.
So folks,
you were busy working and dealing with the fact that you were about ready to lose your job. So you were tethered to that.
Right.
Drama
reality,
and that reality, and I was over here looking out at blankets of
weird.
white,
and
a quarantined community,
right,
and a lockdown, and it was too.
Well, Julie stepped out on the porch, which had a little snow on it, like it came up that far, and some guy goes by on a bike, and she says hi to him or something, and he's like, I've been waiting for this for 50 years.
Or longer.
The thing is it snowed here before, but nothing like that.
They call it a once in a lifetime event.
Yeah, because it has snowed here before. Now, we saw some photos of, so there's a lighthouse up the street from us, and it's right on the coast highway.
This lighthouse is historic. It's weathered all of the hurricanes.
Yeah.
It's the lighthouse.
Yeah.
It's not just a lighthouse.
The Biloxi Lighthouse.
The lighthouse.
And
it's really cool.
They have a webcam. You can go find it. You can go to biloxi.ms.us, I guess. And they have and you can find it on YouTube too, the Biloxi Lighthouse webcam. But what was my point?
They showed.
Oh yeah, the webcam. Sorry.
Yeah, the webcam showed the snow.
The point I was going to make was there's a photo from 1963, and they show the lighthouse in the background and a car driving by, and it's snowing almost as much as it was.
Less so. This was worse. This 2025 snowstorm was worse
than that.
Than that one.
Yeah,
that's
that
what everybody was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and
No, this
that
was
was,
bad.
you know, over 60 years ago.
Right.
And
This was bad.
so, yeah.
That happened.
Mhm.
And then,
You know, and
couple
it happened
weeks-
around the same time because the lighthouse had the Christmas trim on it. Like,
right.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
And then a couple weeks later, you lost your job,
Mhm.
your long-term job with the Big O.
The Big
The
O.
Big O.
Speaking of the Big O, something else that was trending was Luigi Mangione.
Right.
Feels so good.
So there was some things that we discovered with the job loss. You know, you want to read off some. You can just
Sure.
read off, and we can
Right.
kind of rap
Yeah.
about it a little
Yeah.
bit.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then we can circle back to something else
Hmm.
that was happening.
Mhm.
But yeah, Luigi Mangione, because BT, whatever his name was,
So what
he was
happened?
died.
What did we discover with the job loss?
Okay, I just wanted to mention this. Okay,
Yeah,
and then
but
I'm going to move on.
we talked about
I'm
the
gonna,
job loss.
I'm
So
going to move
let's
on.
move back to that once we talk about the job loss.
Okay,
Mhm.
I tied it in because the connection of the company I was working for.
Right, but let's get to that eventually. There are more important things that are going
No,
on
there
right
are.
now.
No, we have to talk about Mangione right now. Okay, so with the job loss, this is Julie. This is February, and I'm still in
Okay,
January.
you're still in January. Fine, if you want to talk
No,
about
we'll
BT's
talk-
assassination,
We'll
that's
talk
what-
about the job loss right now.
BT, I can feel the spirit of BT from
BT.
either hell or heaven saying we really need to talk about BT first.
So look, I mean, this kind of ties in with the job loss because
it does. It really does.
When BT, so what was his name?
Brian Thompson.
Yeah,
Thompson.
Thompson.
You don't even know your own
Well, so he was
vice president.
No, he was the CEO of
CEO, sorry.
of not Optum, but
United Health
United Health Group's
Insurance.
wing, whatever. Yeah, health group, whatever they're called. United, yeah, Health. And he was murdered outside of this hotel in New York where they were doing a.
The story
the
was
story
that
is
he
that-
was
and
murdered.
the story is that Luigi Mangione.
Don't be-
I'm not. I'm just
Be
saying his
careful.
name in
We have some
Italian.
lovely Italian people
Yeah.
that we love very much watching.
Luigi Mangione. So he was like, so you know how uncreative they are, right? So they take, you know, one of the characters from, you know, Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, right?
Mario Brothers.
From Mario Brothers, and meld it with that flugelhorn player. What was his name?
Chuck.
Chuck Mangione, right? So it feels so good.
And then they make the guy a model.
Right? Oh, and he was a man.
Oh, and he's a model. He
Right.
is a model. They
He
don't
is a
make
model.
him a model.
He is a model,
model.
right? And he had some money, but he was upset about how people, you know, couldn't get their insurance and how, you know,
So
United
they
Health Group was,
say.
you know,
That's-
and
that's the narrative.
you know,
right?
but
That's
there-
the story.
But what was going on is United Healthcare Group was actually denying people like real, like,
Yeah,
so I
you
was on
got-
the
You
inside.
got on the inside.
And
You were
I'm seeing the feed or the, you know, the chatter going on in the back channels in the company, and people were like, yeah, no,
they
this
were
is
denying things to their own employees.
exactly, and some people who work on, you know, the claims, they saw this one case, and the person was like on death's door, you know, having an emergency, and freaking UHG denied them, saying, "Oh, you don't need that.
Coverage,
You don't."
right.
Denying them the coverage. You don't need that. You should have checked first before you went to the hospital. You know,
You should have
no real
checked
like shit
first
like that, right?
before you
But the
are
reason that
so-
I bring it up is because the reason I feel like it ties into, you know, my, you know, ultimate job loss is because because of BT's demise. It happened in December before the holidays, right before the holidays,
Mhm.
and Optum and United Health. So Optum is a wing of, is a subsidy, whatever it is, a corporate entity underneath United Health Group.
Yep.
They were going to lay people off in December.
Yeah, they were going to do it in December. Oh, by the way, you like
Right.
my double horn?
Yeah, how corporate of you.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of UHG, speaking of UHG, you have devil horns.
Mhm.
So they were going to lay people off right before the holidays. How awesome is that? I mean,
That was what they admitted to
they admitted.
their own employees. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Can you believe
So-
they're
so-
so nice?
So they were gonna.
They're like,
label-
well, we were going to fire you, but because our CEO was assassinated, we decided to give you an extra
Yeah.
couple of months.
Right. So.
Oh, and it wasn't just firing people; it was like shutting down entire departments.
Right.
This wasn't fired because of bad job performance or anything.
Right.
This is entire departments that were just squashed, that were
Right.
just shut down. There are still people who were let go back in February
Last year.
of last year. Still, those people, his coworkers, are still looking for work.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. It's rough.
it's rough.
Yeah, it's rough out there.
It's
So
rough out there.
so along
Which
with that,
brings
which brings
us
us to the
to-
discoveries that we made. And so a lot of the
Is
job.
she
She's not
being-
licking her butt right
being
now.
inappropriate?
No,
I'll
she's just
cover her.
grooming.
I'm gonna
She's
cover
doing
her.
cat grooming,
I
but she's
don't-
not at that point. Cat butt.
I didn't want a cat, by the way.
I
Once
didn't-
my 20-year-old cat died, I was like,
didn't either.
done.
But she appealed to your empathy
My
and said, "Please, Mrs. It's so cold out here in Pittsburgh in October."
with her Pittsburgh accent, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we got to stop that right there.
Right.
Let's reverse
Ye-
course on that.
What before you go downtown, I need to ask you a favor. They don't talk like that. They say downtown. I don't know how they talk, but
Okay, how is she? Is she okay now?
she's okay now.
Do you want to get her and bring her up close
no,
to the
no,
camera
she's fine. No, she's
so
fine.
people can see her? Because
She's
she's
fine.
really cute.
She is very cute.
I
Well,
mean, she's annoying, but she's also really cute.
so neither of us
She's,
wanted a new
she's
cat.
small too
but
for
yeah,
her size.
she was the runt of the litter, and she's feral. I mean, well, not any longer. She's now a princess. She was an alley cat.
She is not feral now.
She was an
Ooh.
alley cat, born in the
Oh,
alley.
our friend came. Our really good friend came to visit us from Pittsburgh, and
They understood each other from the no. I'm kidding.
and she apparently went to our friend. I feel so bad.
Roxy did.
Our
Roxy-
cat went to her and was like meow meow, and basically that means I made a mess in my box. You need to come clean it now. And so our friend comes out and is like, "Oh, so your cat wants me to clean her box." I'm like, "I'm so sorry. Usually she goes outside."
Well,
but-
she said your cat is meowing at me. Like, what's going on with that? And I said, "Oh, she wants you to clean her box."
That's how you earn your keep when you come
right.
stay
Yeah.
with us.
Right. Exactly. So so we're all. She's got us wrapped around her little dew claw.
He bakes her free range organic chicken in the oven.
Yeah.
I give her greenies.
Chicken breast. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well-
he gives her like the healthy food, and I give her
No.
like the Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah, I
I
know
give
greenies
her-
aren't quite
I-
Tootsie Rolls, but they're
I give her the junk food.
yeah, they're sort of like like individually wrapped cheese sticks.
Yeah, she
Right.
loves those greenies.
Yeah,
And
greenies
she
are-
loves her chicken.
She does love. She loves chicken so much.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah,
She doesn't like
She lives for chicken.
she doesn't like the freshly wild caught salmon that we bought for $37 a pound. She's turned her nose
Yeah,
up at it.
none of that. None of that. So,
Anyway.
all right. So
She
because
got
of the job loss, we could afford organic free-range chicken breasts for our cat. Yeah. Anyway, when we found out about the job loss, there were also layoffs going on all over the country. I mean, this is what we found out by going to LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And there was a massive amount of layoffs that had been going on since in 2024. And the corporations were blaming AI. And one of the things that we discovered was, yeah, in some cases, because we read that one bit on LinkedIn recently, where he's like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
we laid people off because of AI. It fucked up our business. We paid $10 million to save $10 million, but we did it because it was the right thing to do, and that's what our shareholders expected. And I'd do it again. Whoa!
Yeah,
this was
Hence
a
the double
CEO,
horns,
right? And anyway, so what it really, a lot of what was going on was companies like Optum, UHG, big banks, other corporations that were very large, were basically getting around the H-1B visa issue and setting up campuses in various parts of India and hiring a workforce from India in India, so they didn't have to import people to take away the jobs from Americans. And they had, and because they were in India, they could pay them less than they paid Americans. That was the whole point, was to save money.
Right.
But then later, as Trump came in and started, doing the bidding of the All In guys,
All In podcast.
Yeah.
David Sachs, Chamath
all the
Palihapitiya,
billionaire set.
Friedberg, and J. Cal,
Yeah, fuck them.
former guest model. Anyway.
Hey, J. Cal, show us your butt and those jeans. Anyway, because he started doing their bidding, the billionaire bidding, they started bringing in the H-1B visas, which were, starting to, so now they've got Indians doing American jobs, working American jobs in India, Indians in America doing jobs in, for less. And this is not a racist rant. I'm not, this is this facts. These are corporate practices.
This is corporations just saving money. That's it.
Yeah.
And they don't care about their own. They don't care about the quality of their own production. That's what's so staggeringly bizarre about this discovery that we made, this revelation that we came to, is that usually, like, we grow up to think that, okay, well, you got to do what you got to do to create the best product in America, to be the best, most innovative, most professional, the best product. But what's happening with this is that they're losing their credibility to China. They're losing their credibility to
the rest of the world.
Yeah. The quality of every technology is plummeting, is just going through the floor.
So if AI bots aren't doing like weird things with customer service, like promising, people checks being cashed in the, the outer stratosphere,
right.
Or whatever.
Which was a story that actually
we were reading about. That same one that I was quoting earlier. And
customers
hallucinating
and customers were saying your check is in the outer realm of the
astral plane.
The astral plane. Gotta love AI.
So
right?
AI is hallucinating and like messing up customer service, and then the Indian workforce in India was not doing things the way that American professionals would do things, and so quality went down, and yet the corporations keep doing it, right? And so
corporations don't even care about their own quality now.
And meanwhile, back at the White House, the Trump administration is not reporting all the job loss. In fact, they've made it They've prohibited the
Bureau of Labor Statistics
wouldn't
give the true numbers for the unemployment
the
rate.
most bipartisan of all the bureaucracies in Washington D.C. was not allowed to release the statistics that they gather and put out there. So
so you also had a personal experience.
Yeah, so I was going to get to that.
Yeah, but what it did is it hit like 3 of the points. Like, usually what happened in this time frame when people were looking for work, they came across 1 of the points. But with you, it was all 3.
That sounds like
around
me.
1. Can I tell it, or should I? Okay. So he gets an email saying, thank you for your application. We're going to do things a little bit differently this time because of the amount of applicants that we've been getting. Answer these series of questions, and they give him, till the end of the week or whatever to answer a series of questions. And he spends 8 hours a day.
I did one day.
Yeah, whatever. He spends 8 hours really, really coming up with these amazing responses to these questions that pertain to his field. And then he waits, and they email back. HR emails back a couple days later and says, congratulations, you've made it to the next step, and give us your phone number. We're going to text you some information. Again, this is going to be done a little bit differently. We're not going to be doing, one-on-one interviews or Microsoft Team interviews, kind of like Skype. We're not going to be doing that. So he gets an email basically, or a text message with a job offer.
Mhm.
And it's, and and then what happens is we go to bed that night, and all of a sudden I just have this epiphany, and I start going through LinkedIn, and I'm seeing that all these people have gone through what he just went through, where they answer a series of questions, they get a job offer, and they are out tens of thousands of dollars. And they're just warning people all over the place, do not fall for these scams. So I let him know. And so they pretended that they were uh, with a company. So he actually calls the actual company and he says, I received an email from your company asking me to complete a series of questions. Then I got a text message from your HR person from your company offering me a job. And that company said, whoa, it looks like you've been scammed. And this has been going on consistently, like with every company, especially in technology, across the country. And now it looks like this particular company was a victim of the scam as well.
Mhm.
They were mortified. They felt so bad. They were so sorry. And they're like, yeah, we are so sorry. But what we'd like to do is go ahead and have you interview for the job.
Which they had on their website. It
Which they
actually
had
was
on
a
their website. But
yeah.
see, this is the second. So
Yeah.
the first part of what we discovered with him looking for work was what I just explained to you, which was all about fake companies or or hackers
Mhm.
or ne'er do wells,
Scammers.
scammers,
Yeah.
criminals pretending to act on behalf of companies so that they could go to applicants, and then when the applicants gave their bank information in order to purchase equipment that they would need for the company or to sign up for direct deposit, they would then drain their bank accounts. Okay, that's one scam. The second scam is that companies were putting in their on their career pages, they were claiming that they had all these jobs that needed to be filled. Actual companies, actual companies,
Mhm.
right?
Not
Like,
scammers.
you know, and it was an internal and sort of an internal fraud. And it was and what that does is by putting this job type, like say you need like a legal assistant for like a big law firm. That's very legitimate. They need a legal assistant. It's a big law firm. And so 100,000 legal assistants go and apply for that job, and not one of them gets hired. And the job is still listed on the website. What's happening is the HR department and marketing, in combination with LinkedIn, they get funding. So every time they say, well, we really got to fill this position, but we can't seem to find any good applicants, they will still get the funding to to their like marketing and to
Or
HR
whatever, yeah.
and to
So
whatever
they
they
call
need.
so they call these ghost jobs.
They're called ghost jobs. And
And
so
go ahead.
and so the guy that he spoke to that said, oh my gosh, it looks like you've been the victim of this scam. This company was pretending, sending you a text message, pretending to be our HR department. We feel so bad. Let's go ahead and have you interview for the actual job itself. But it too was a ghost job because he met with the CEO of the company, and the CEO was like this the whole time. He's like wigging out. He's
Yeah, he
like
wasn't into
really
it.
twitchy, and
Yeah.
he
It doesn't help that he looked like a Goomba, but
and he was really just non-professional, unprofessional,
Yeah.
and there was something really off
Mhm.
with this interview that he had with the CEO, right? And we find out late, and he finally just, he has this conversation with the CEO, and JP says, okay, fine. So who currently does, the work that he's applying for? Who currently does that? And he's like, oh, offshore,
India.
offshore. And so offshore is code for India.
Yeah.
And so JP's like, all right, it's a fucking ghost job. So not only was he scammed through the scammers, where he was told that he was hired at this company, but then the company itself was telling their stakeholders that they need more money to fill this position that he was applying for. And they had never had any intention of filling it. They gave it to India months ago,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And they were pretending they were going through the motions.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we hit all the points. Like most people, it was either, most people who were looking for jobs, they went through the ghost job situation and then it ended there.
Right.
Or they went through the rigmarole of going through some bullshit interview process, um, and and it never materialized,
Right.
and then they had their bank accounts stolen.
Right.
But it hit.
Well,
The
so
fraud was
right.
360 for
So
him.
right, exactly. So there's two other things that were going on. So there were the jobs that Julie was talking about, like they were getting listed on LinkedIn, and people would apply to them, and um, they wouldn't hear anything. And I did this too. I applied
It
for
turns out
hundreds of jobs.
LinkedIn too is
Is
culpable
kind of
for
culpable for this.
yeah.
And then well, and so that what would happen is you'd go back like a month later or 2 weeks later, you wouldn't hear anything, or you'd get a response saying thank you, but we've gone with somebody else. Well, that's not true because they still had the job listed, or it would pop up again, a month
Just like a
or
month
2 weeks or
later.
a month
Yeah.
later. And so there were different reasons for doing it. Like Julie said, like funding for for HR or whatever. A lot of times companies would do it to make it look like they were doing so well, they're hiring all these people, so it helps with investments, investors investing in the company. So again,
Right.
like funding, right?
Mhm.
And then the one of the other reasons was um, hiring managers wanted to get a glimpse at what the talent pool was like out there, and so they put these things out so that they get the resumes, so they could kind of get a like what's the weather out there, right?
Right.
And so all of these things are all fraudulent. The other thing that was going on was
Recruiters.
recruiters, right? Exactly. So
Sure.
recruiters
Whew.
would basically build up their numbers, and you're saying this I think yesterday or the day before on your recording,
Yeah.
your podcast, your audio,
Mhm.
that the recruiters would basically bulk up their numbers and make it look like they actually have all these candidates coming in, and and jobs listed and things like that. And again, they were fraudulent, or they were like under
Well, right.
performing.
So
I had another situation.
yes. Well, recruiters were putting out fake jobs so that their numbers would look good for their goals, because recruiters are basically just salespeople, and salespeople live a lot on commission. Sure, I'm sure they get paid a salary, but there's also a commission involved. And as long as they have their dashboard stacked with jobs and stacked with applicants, then they would qualify for that quarterly bonus, or they would qualify for a little pay raise. So a lot of applicants who are desperately needing work are going to recruiters, and these recruiters are going to these recruiters, and these recruiters are just using them in order to pad their own paychecks to make their numbers look good, with no intention whatsoever of getting the applicants hired. Because why would you? The minute that job goes away and it's off of your account, then you're not then you don't have a job to do as a recruiter.
Mhm.
Like, if you fill that position, then what? Because there aren't a lot of jobs out there.
Right.
So recruiters were starting to scam companies, starting to scam applicants, pad their numbers, make it look like, like they were super busy when they weren't. He got some bullshit recruiter. We're not even sure she worked for the company, for the recruiting
She did, because
agency,
we talked to other people who knew
I
who she
guess,
was.
but
Right.
she disappeared. And when she and it was for a contract position with Microsoft. And when she said,
The real
"Look,"
Microsoft.
right. So when she said, "Look, there's this job for you that I think you would be a good fit for at Microsoft. You need to interview, this person and possibly some others. Let me set that up for you." So she did. And typically, what recruiters do is, everything's done through Teams and everybody's on camera, right? The recruiter will be there. The person that the applicant is interviewing with at Microsoft will be there, and then the applicant is there, and they're on screen. The recruiter will say, "JP, Microsoft, I'm here to introduce you. have a good session, have a good talk. JP, when you're done, make sure that you and I connect so that we can talk about the outcome of this conversation you're going to have with Microsoft. That conversation never took place.
Just the well, I had the interview,
He
but I
had
didn't
the
have
interview.
but I didn't talk to the recruiter.
The
before
recruiter
or
never
after.
made the
Yeah.
introduction. You're supposed to make an introduction. And so when the interview was over, it was a wonderful interview.
Mhm.
It was like the woman was like practically ready to hire him
I
at the
felt like it,
moment.
yeah.
You get that feeling. And so he said, "Great, I'll talk to my recruiter and we'll go to the next steps." And his recruiter ghosted him.
Mhm.
And so that made me realize, that helped to confirm my suspicion that recruiters are on the take,
Mhm.
right? Or on the
Mhm.
make.
On the make, on the take.
They are padding their numbers. Why would that chick want this job filled? Because as long as it's open, then she still has job security. So these recruiters were going out of their way to make sure that those jobs weren't getting filled. And it's frustrating to the company who's, what if this was a legitimate job and not a ghost job? You know, this poor woman who really needed
The
somebody.
hiring manager.
The
yeah.
hiring manager needed somebody. The recruiters are basically dicking around
Mhm.
with the company. So
Yeah.
it just, the whole thing, the job loss opened up a window of knowledge about where we are in our economy. And you have thousands of people losing their jobs to this day, thousands of people in the corporate sector, especially the tech sector, losing their jobs. You have
Mhm.
federal employees that have long been marched out of their offices and out of their jobs for a while now, at least a
Mhm.
year.
Which
You have people forced into early retirement,
Mhm. Which brings us
Um,
to the next point, Doge.
yeah, yeah.
So Doge, as you may remember, was Elon Musk and his cohorts basically kicked down the door of a lot of federal agencies and kicked people out. And there's people out there that were applauding this. I was not one of them. I am not a fan of bureaucracy. However, there are people that work in government agencies who are there to make sure that the wheels keep turning
And that
that the rules
bureaucracy
are
doesn't
followed.
get out of hand.
Right. I mean, the government does things by rules so that it's transparent and you know what's being done. In the bureaucracy, it doesn't always work for people, and it isn't always fair, and it isn't always great. But it's at least there's an established norm or something like that, right? In the case of Doge, they basically invaded these offices, and in some cases, basically, I think the Social Security office, right? And they exposed everybody's
Everybody
information
in the country,
Yeah.
to Peter Thiel, who runs Palantir, a defense
contractor. That's about data collection.
So the Defense Department now has every single American's address, bank account information, social security card, social security number, your income, your earned income.
Right.
The Department of Defense. Why does the Department of Defense need that?
Right.
My last job, I was an assistant manager for a stationery store. Like, why do they need that? Why do they need that?
And
Is it because I designed hummingbirds on the front of stationery cards that I'm suddenly a domestic terrorist?
Yeah.
Like, what the?
You can cut people with that paper, Julie.
Why does
Paper
the
cuts are the
department?
worst.
So this is what Doge did, and that's why Doge was so short-lived. It
Mhm.
popped in, it did the damage, and then suddenly it was all
Well,
it was dismantled.
They got what they
Everybody was
needed.
fired
Yeah.
because they got what they needed. They
Yeah.
sold all of the information. They were the liaison between the government and Peter Thiel's defense contractor, Palantir.
I think
right?
the firings were, twofold. One was, ideology. So
Yeah.
Musk's ideology of getting, of slimming down government, and Trump too. I mean, he's all about that, right? Run government like a business. That's always been anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into that. But getting rid of people. But I think that was also cover for what the fuck they were doing in there.
Of course, it was
know?
all about taking all of our, and this is more than just, this is more than just cataloging your data on social media so
Right.
that they could send you ads. Like the other day, I'm looking at red shirts, and so I get a bunch of ads on YouTube suddenly for red shirts, right? It's more than that. They took your social security number, they have your home address, they have your work history, they have how much money you paid into your taxes or not. They have everything now. And this isn't to try to sell you red shirts. This is literally to label everybody in this country a domestic terrorist
Mhm.
because they're running out of brown people. I don't know. I don't know. It's just like what the hell is going on with this
Yeah.
country? This is
Well,
why a few of our friends and your friends they're no longer Americans.
yeah.
They've
Well, they're still Americans. They're just living other places.
they've
They're
just
expats.
they're expats,
Yeah.
right? There's
Yeah.
a lot of expats out there.
There
A
are.
lot. A lot
Yeah.
of people
I
have
know.
left this
Well,
country.
we're no longer in Afghanistan, and we're barely in some of these other countries. I mean, we still have places there, but yeah, they need to start, turning their
They're
because
turning their attention
yeah, right.
to
So
Americans.
right, because
And when
we
we
gotta have a
see-
war somehow.
when we see
Julie.
they, when we see they, when we say they,
They.
what we mean is the Department of Defense.
Yeah. So speaking of the Department of Defense, in April we saw major flooding and tornadoes in some of the southern states, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Mississippi. And yet, so with all this, weather warfare, in some cases, when we see something like this, when we see an event like this, like what took place in the North Carolina and Tennessee last year, the year before, 2024.
hmm
My first question is always,
It was Helene, right?
yeah, Hurricane Helene that
Mhm.
magically jumped over Georgia.
I know it literally made like a sharp right.
Mhm.
Literally. I know you're not supposed to say that word, but like,
Well,
how did that happen? How does the
so
hurricane go?
so it got stronger over land, which is always weird, right? Because that's not how it works.
That's not how hurricanes work.
And
Not if you know what words mean.
and basically dumped a lot of rain in the Blue Ridge Mountains and created downward mass of water that basically took out all these hollers. And turns out it's like the largest deposit of lithium in the United States, if not the world. So now we don't have to worry about rebuilding infrastructure and rehousing people. We can just get right in there and start digging for the lithium. So that was that case. Now it was also the case in the area of Texas and like I think it was like Texas and Arkansas, Mississippi area. There's like this one region,
Mhm.
and we asked the same question. What natural resource and what minerals are
What's
in
she
these
doing?
areas? She's just sitting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanna make
Um,
sure.
she's just sitting there. She's
She's
like,
what? I'm just
what?
sitting here.
I'm just sitting here, and I'm waiting for somebody to sit down so I can sit on their lap. She's like, I'm waiting.
Yeah, it's lap time.
So so at the same time, so this was in April. The next, see, May, June starts hurricane season. We had not one. There was one hurricane in the Gulf Coast that went into the United States in 2025, and that went into like Texas.
Yeah.
Nothing hit our
Nothing.
region. Nothing hit Florida. Nothing. Let me repeat that. Nothing hit Florida. And Florida
Right.
always gets hit because it's
Right.
that little dingle at the bottom of the United States that it catches.
I
all
liked
the-
Florida when we went there, by the way.
You did.
Yes, I liked that ocean. Those
Oh well, we
over the
went to
water.
the Panhandle on the Gulf Coast. Yeah,
Yeah.
we went to
And there-
Pensacola.
I've also been to the beaches in Florida, and they're nice. Very nice.
White sands and stuff.
Mhm,
Yeah,
with big waves. Mhm.
yeah. We don't have waves here. We're in the Gulf.
Yeah, we're in the Gulf because we have barrier islands that keep the Gulf of Mexico from crashing into the Biloxi.
Right.
So,
Well, unless there's a hurricane.
unless there's a hurricane.
Made by the U.S. government or Russia or somebody. But anyway, so the when I was growing up in Southern California, there were never hurricane storms. There were never fires. There were never, because there were, there was the military industrial complex was, they Raytheon and Boeing and all these various companies had factories, and they had, contractors working on the West Coast, and so they can't have weather events coming in and destroying all their infrastructure and making it so that their workers can't go to work. So, and I discovered this through some various videos that we've seen over the years. I'm total, it's like somebody not who doesn't know is they're like, you're such a conspiracy theorist. But I mean, whatever. I believe that just as weather can be created and used to destroy things, it can also be used to keep weather away. So whatever energy devices they're using and have been using since the 1920s, by the way, and have been, developing them, improving them over time, it keeps the weather away where you want it to keep away from. And since Trump is in the White House, it makes sense to me that there are no hurricanes coming in Florida in 2025. And there probably won't be any this year, but I might have to eat my words, but we'll see.
You probably will.
We'll see. Probably will. Yeah, I know. Watch, we'll get a big fucking... Anyway.
Well, there is something coming, right? Don't you think there's going to be a big disruption?
Yeah, there's going to be a disruption, but I don't think it's going to be weather. I think it's going to be something else. If it is weather, at least. Although, so we'll get into this later,
maybe
but like there's fires going on right now too. So, so yeah, so that's, so we get weather events in places where they want to clear out areas. California's, California, our friend Colleen is living in Redding, and she was reporting on the hi Colleen.
Wait, where's my hand?
Where is my hand?
Where's my hand? It's over here.
That could be a Pixie song. Where is my hand? Anyway,
where is my mind?
She was telling us about, she was telling us about the flooding events that were going on in Redding, California, and California's been just getting attacked from weather or fire. Well, last year at this time, it was still LA was dealing with fire in like forest fire type fires, brush fires in like neighborhoods in along the coast in the beach where there wasn't any like forests or anything like that. And whole neighborhoods were getting burned out, and there was no reason for that.
Did that happen this year?
That happened in 2025, 24 and 25. It leaped. The flames leaped over the barrier of the new year.
No, but seriously, I don't remember when Pacific Palisades happened.
Yeah, it was around. It was in the wintertime. So check it out too. It's like fires are happening in winter when it's the rainy season, when it's not fire season in California.
It's kind of like snowing in the Gulf Coast.
Exactly. Thank you. Fire season in California is in the summer, and especially in the autumn, because that's when it's the hottest and most dried out. But it's winter anyway. So fires in the winter.
The discovery was that these storms that took place
and these events,
in these
natural
regions were cover for possibly using weather warfare programs to demolish infrastructure and demolish areas.
Real estate acquisition,
so that they could see if there was any elements there for AI, which is what elements you need to make AI go.
Right, and and they could move people out of their homes and open it up for I don't know, billionaires to move in and or whatever, right? So the billionaires are now attacking the millionaires because some of the things we also learned.
Stay poor, in other words.
Right. Well, they're going after.
Stay poor and stay safe.
They're going after the Hollywood elite now. Who was the actor who died during 2025? Who was like, he got the most money for movies that were being played on TV or whatever.
Oh, right. Did he die?
Yeah, him and his wife.
Gene Hackman. So Gene Hackman and his wife were brutally murdered this year? Was that?
No, it was like
Was
drug
it last?
overdose or some weird shit.
No, it was a weird.
It was a weird thing.
Somebody tell us. You guys know.
Yeah. Anyway, what's
February 18th, 2025. He
Right.
died in Santa Fe, New Mexico. His death, in the final moments of his life, his neighbors noticed that his health appeared to be declining, and he and Arakawa ceased communicating with family and friends. Okay, so maybe it was like a double suicide or something.
Well, it was like that movie that you always like to refer to.
Right. Michael Clayton.
Michael Clayton. They were Michael Clayton.
They were Michael Clayton, but it wasn't Michael Clayton who died in the movie. It was a character in the movie, and the movie is called Michael Clayton. We always make things way more confusing than they need
And harder to understand.
Right. So Hackman's just okay, blah blah blah. So basically, their dogs were found dead. It was just this weird, like,
they were murdered.
It was this weird death. Okay. Right. And it turns out that Gene Hackman had been able to work it so that he made
royalties.
Right,
that's what I was trying to
the
remember.
most royalties of any Hollywood actor from all of his movies that were played, like streaming and all, so anytime you saw Gene Hackman anywhere, like on the computer, he was making bank, and he was the only actor that was able to figure out a way to do it and make that much.
Hackman.
And they were like, "Oh no, you can't have that." So off you go, 95-year-old.
So somebody says the Hackmans, like, he died of natural causes, but she may have killed herself. Yeah, I mean, I think they were both murdered, but they were just like, because it looked like the dog was killed some weird way. Anyway, so this was like almost a whole year ago.
February of 2025.
Okay, so February. Yeah. And so again,
who said that, by the way? I can't see.
Y4913-G70.
Okay.
I like your name. It's pretty.
You have a nice name.
You have a nice
name.
So and like, even like people that we like as actors but hated their politics, especially during COVID, are coming out now and saying, we're under attack now.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
they're basically they're not, it's upside down and backwards. It's Leia. Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Leia.
Cool. Hi.
Or Leia.
Good one. Yeah, that's actually very clever. Clever, you. Good.
So everybody's under the target, right? Everybody's between the crosshairs. Lee. Okay, I'm sorry. Lee. That makes sense. Okay. All right. So from April we go to July.
I'm sure there's stuff that happened in May and June, but
well,
who knows?
Not a lot. Yeah. I mean, there was Memorial Day happened in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure something happened on Memorial Day. Yeah. Oh look, the cat just went away.
Oh. So should I go get her?
No.
I can get her and bring her to the camera now.
She will bite you.
She will not like this.
She is not an affectionate cat, except she does like to sit on his lap at a specific time every night.
This is Roxy.
This is Roxy. She has a pink nose. Isn't she cute? Show them your pink nose. You're so cute. Look at her white front. So cute. And she is so soft. She feels like a little cotton ball. She's the softest cat that I've ever had.
And now she's
super tiny. And she has pink paws too.
Like, I hate this.
And she's like 5, and she still looks like a kitten because she's a runt.
Okay.
That was Roxy.
All right, that's the cat moment. The cat cam, brought to you by. Okay, so now it's time for you to talk and talk and talk, and it's a painful talk, but
okay.
And we're by the way, we're an hour into
I
this.
know. We're gonna, we're gonna go as long as we go,
okay,
right?
Well,
So yeah, so not only did a bunch of stuff happened in the country that was really illuminating, and we made
Mhm.
all these
And
discoveries about
personal things that happened to us, we realized were happening to other people in the
right,
rest of the country, especially
right,
job loss, right?
especially with the job loss.
Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff came to light regarding that. On July 1st, out of nowhere, and many of you listening have heard this story, but on July 1st, out of nowhere, I received a text message from a woman that I've had a grand total of 2 text interactions with. Never met this woman in person. Never really talked to her on the phone. Actually, I did speak to her on the phone once in 2022, but in July of 2025, she sent me a text message saying that she had information about my Aunt Helen. I don't have an Aunt Helen. I have a Grandma Helen. Um, and going all the way back to 2015, I texted with this woman for the first time and said, "Hi, my grandma Helen gave me your phone number. She keeps talking about you, and finally, after many years, she has given me your phone number. Please keep me apprised of anything that's going on with her. She's it's 2015, she's getting older. I understand you're a neighbor and you're helping her out." And the woman was like, "Yeah, sure, okay." And then again in 2017, I texted her and I said, "I'm getting ready to leave the state of California and
The country.
move across country with my husband, and I want to make sure my grandma's okay." And she sent me a picture of my grandma and said, "She's fine. She has your number. In other words, leave me alone." And then again in 2022, I actually called her because I was doing an online Google search and I put in my grandmother's name in the online Google search, and I discovered that my grandmother had died. Which, if you guys are close with your grandparents, or if you had any kind of serious relationship with your grandparents, you know that this would be devastating to have to find out that someone who babysat you and took you to your doctor's appointments and bought you, you know, presents and always snuck little candies in church for you and adored you and just loved you to death. You find out that they're dead when you do a Google search on their name. So I called this woman who was my only connection and I said, "What happened?" And she goes, she didn't know that my grandmother had died. So it was a huge mystery. And the obituary that I found online didn't really say much. In fact, it didn't even mention that she had 3 grandchildren. It mentioned that she had 2. Fast forward to 2025, this woman texts me and says, "I found some information about your Aunt Helen." And I said, "What are you talking about? You and I spoke in 2022. Remember I told you she died? I found out accidentally by doing a Google search. What are you talking about? You have information about my grandma Helen, not my aunt." And turns out this woman had filed a probate case in the state of California claiming that she was the long lost niece of my grandmother. And so she defrauded the court, and then the court continued the fraud by keeping the case open. And when this woman reached out to me, it then became my responsibility to inform the rest of the family about what was going on and try to remove this woman from this case and get this case shut down. Well, the case didn't get shut down, but the woman was removed, thank goodness. And every attorney I talked to said, "Your grandmother didn't have any money, didn't have any property, and she died in Florida. So why is this in California? She may have lived in California from like 1960 all the way up to 2019, but the
Right.
fact is she died in Florida. So why is this even a California case?"
Right. And the only way that it would be a probate case is if she had real property, meaning things
Real,
that, yeah,
like
like a
like
house,
a house, or
land, or
and she
things
never
that,
did. She
yeah.
lived in a dumpy little apartment on the poor end of town in San Jose, California, in a rent controlled apartment. Okay. She was a cashier for 50 years of her life at
Safeway.
Safeway,
Yeah.
but she is not a rich woman.
Right.
So so I so the judge finally did the right thing after I spent, over $1,000 of my own money. The judge finally did the right thing and and shut the case down and dismissed the case and said, "Oops, sorry, wrong venue. It should open up in Florida." Well, one of my brothers lives about 30 minutes from Florida, from
From
the Florida probate court. So he's like, "You know what? I'll take care of it." I'll open up the probate case in the county that it's supposed to be in the county that she died in, and we'll just do the same thing that was done, but this time, we'll do it right because this other woman who defrauded the San Jose court and lied, claiming that she was a relative, is now out of the picture. So we'll take care of it, and I'll get us an attorney and all this. And I was like, okay, that.
Oh,
What?
Go ahead.
What's
I was
up?
just going to say to Lee, it wasn't Social Security fraud. She was trying to get access to bank accounts and
Right.
investment accounts that existed that may or may not have had money in them.
Right.
So that's all.
Most likely
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah.
So so my brother has me speak to this lawyer on the phone who gets all this information from me, and I send her all of these documents. Mind you, between July and November, when the case was active in California, I did all the research. I did so much legwork and so much research and so much work, hard work into trying to find out what happened to my grandmother. How did she get from California to Florida? And I started to uncover all this crazy stuff. Her name was also attached to a home in Wisconsin. And I was like, what is going on? And it turns out that somebody that she's not really officially related to, like, came into her home in California when she was in her 90s and moved her across state lines and didn't even tell the next of kin, didn't even tell the family members.
They were, I guess it was like a step nephew.
It was my
like
grandmother's
stepbrother son.
My grandmother had a stepbrother. It was his son who did it. Like,
She
so
gives me that look. Like, they're so not related.
they're not related. Like, first, the thing about my grandmother is my grandmother was you said the word abandoned is too harsh. My grandmother was abandoned by her biological mother and raised by her grandparents.
I don't think it's now that I know more about the situation, I don't think it's as harsh.
Okay.
Yeah.
My grandmother was not raised by her biological mother. She was raised by her grandparents. Her biological mother gave birth to my grandmother in 1926 when she was like 16, 17 years old. And my grandmother's biological father was mysteriously murdered, like when my grandmother was still like a newborn. So my grandmother was raised by her grandparents so that her mother, who was a teenager at the time, could like grow up and have a normal life. When my grandmother was just about ready to get married herself is when her biological mother married a man and had 2 kids. And it was one of those kids that flew from Wisconsin to California, removed her from her California home, which she had been living in for the bulk of her adult life from 1960 all the way up to 2019, and moved her to Florida. And nobody ever contacted the grandchildren, her next of kin. So I'm telling this to my brother's attorney and I'm explaining everything that's going on. And she's like, okay, this is really good information. Give me all of your documents. And I gave her a few documents here and there. And then comes the ice cold bucket of truth.
Right.
She goes, oh, by the way, I'm not representing you. I'm only representing your brothers because you are not biologically related.
To her grandmother.
To my grandmother, which is true. I am not biologically related. When my mother married my father, I came with my mother. I have a biological father who I never knew, never met. And I met the father who raised me. I met him when I was an infant. And so he raised me from the time I was like 1 year old up until he died, which was 2007. And so obviously his mother was my grandmother. And I said, well, wait a minute. This is the only father and only grandmother I've ever had my entire life. And this attorney said, too bad. too sad, don't care, don't know you, don't care. Then the thing that people don't realize is that my brothers never had a relationship with my grandmother the way I did, because my brothers are 10, 11 years younger than me, 7 years younger than
And they
me.
grew up in the Midwest.
They grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in California. I spent the night at her apartment. They've never even been to her apartment. One brother has been one time to her apartment. I was at her house all the time. I was with her all the time. I had trips with her. I had a relationship with this woman. They did not. In fact, when my dad died, her only son, they stopped having a relationship with her. Whatever little relationship that they did have, it ended completely in 2007.
Yeah.
I
Now,
continued the
The
relationship.
one bit of information that is in here that you left out, and why the lawyer said what she said, is that Julie had never been adopted
Mhm.
by her father.
By my biological father.
No, by your adopted.
I mean, by
father.
my adopted
Yeah.
father. I was never officially legally adopted. But just because I was never officially legally adopted by the family that raised me since infancy doesn't mean that I don't have any rights. Do you know how many people have never been officially, like, legally adopted by the families that have raised them in this country? You would, nobody would have any rights anywhere. There's millions of us out there who were raised by a family since infancy, and were never officially legally adopted. You think that suddenly, that because of that they don't have any rights? Of course not. So federal law, which state laws have adopted their own versions of this throughout many, many states. There are a few states that don't recognize it, but they're very few.
Like the one we live in.
Ironically, it doesn't matter though. What's the person saying?
Exactly.
Right. So it's called equitable adoption. And if there is a dictionary out there with the word equitable adoption, there's all this criteria that needs to be met in order for it to be equitable adoption. And there would be a picture of my face right there.
Right there.
I fit all that criteria legally. I'm covered.
I think the devil horns would be in there too.
Right.
Yeah.
So this attorney that I was talking to, that was telling me that, I didn't have any rights because I'm not legally adopted, to the woman that I had had a relationship with since infancy, and who I had spent years looking for, while my brothers had no interest in her at all, was telling me that I didn't have a right to be involved in a case that I had just spent from July to November unpacking and trying to get to the bottom of. And so I looked her up, and she's not a real attorney. She doesn't have a Florida license. My brother lives in Florida. He got this old friend of them, or of theirs, or whatever, a woman a complete stranger to me. I don't know who this woman is. She didn't have a state ID, a Florida bar number at all, so she wasn't a lawyer. So she misrepresented herself, which doesn't look good.
She's a paralegal.
Right, she's a law clerk.
Or yeah,
But
she's not even a paralegal, she's a law clerk.
She
Right.
misrepresented herself. Now, her husband is a lawyer, but she claimed that she was the lawyer.
Right.
So turns out that equitable adoption is a very legal thing. And if she was a real lawyer and she had any understanding of anything, she would absolutely make sure that I had as much legal standing in this new probate case that's supposed to be opened up in Florida as of November 6th, but never was yet. Don't know why. Probably because there's no there.
Yeah.
So in this whole process, I'm talking to different attorneys who are like, yes, absolutely. Equitable adoption is a thing. There is a reason that it exists. It exists to protect people just like you, who grew up in a family. You were raised by this family. And so, of course, and so some of the attorneys were like, so why didn't your father ever officially adopt you? And I was like, well, it could have had something to do with the fact that I was diagnosed with a deadly, illness. And there were many times throughout my childhood that they thought that I was going to die. And so it was like, okay, spend all of our energy on the a adoption attorney or spend all of our energy at Stanford Children's Hospital trying to keep her alive? Like, which one? So my parents just opted to focus on keeping me alive. And they're like, okay, that actually fits the criteria. It says right here in equitable adoption, a serious illness would have had to prevent a legal adoption from taking place. So that box is checked off. So what happened to your biological father? The attorneys would ask me. I was like, what about him? I never met him. Silence. Crickets. Attorneys. What do you mean you never met him? I never met him. I never met my biological father. Okay, so unpack this for me. Tell me what you mean by this. And I'm like, well, uh, I was born, and less than a year later, my mom met my dad. They got married by the time I was like 1 or 2 years old, and they raised me, and I never met my biological father. And the attorneys are like, okay, that's not legal.
Well, wasn't your
You,
mom married to your biological father at some point too? So the
yeah,
divorce took place before you were
no, the divorce took place, I guess, after.
after you were born,
It's
obviously. But
unclear. It's
yeah,
unclear, and I can't find the records. This is
wow,
what's so frustrating.
yeah.
So somebody's not telling me what's going on. So the attorneys are helping me unpack this, and I've spoken to at least 3 attorneys who all say the same thing. So I'm like, okay, there's something to be said about what they're telling me. So my discovery is that, and so they said, okay, what about like all you said you were very sick as a child and you had to go to Stanford Children's Hospital all the time. Did your biological father know about that? Surely he would have seen your name somehow in these records. And I said, well, they gave me their last name. And the attorneys are like, okay, what? They had you under a different last name than what was your legal name for all of your medical records. Okay, well, what about school records? Same thing. For the first 15 years of my life, I was known as this person, not this person. And they're like, not legally. Exactly. Never adopted. So they just falsified information to hospitals, to public schools, to records. I guess so. I guess so. They gave me a name that wasn't my legal name. And yet they never officially adopted you. Exactly. Okay, so you're in California up until what age again? Oh, about 11 or 12. And then what happened there? Like, so your biological father, what if he was trying to find you? You were in California, which is where he was, so he could have easily found you while you were in California. What happened when you left California at like age 11 or 12? Well, we moved to Missouri, Illinois, Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, Pittsburgh, Chicago. And the attorneys are like, okay, you just rattled off 7 states that you lived in from the age of like 11 to, and when did you move back to California? Uh, so it would have been 1982 to say 1993 when I moved back to California. So about 11 years, your parents moved with you all of these different states. And how many schools were you enrolled in? Oh, I don't know. I guess about a dozen. Under what name? Their name. The attorneys are like, I hate to tell you this. Look, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but it sounds like you were kidnapped. Like, if I'm going to go through all of this criteria, and it was, so you want to talk about the upside down? You want to talk about, the family that I love and that I grew up with, and the father that I love and adored. There's pictures of him holding me when I'm a little tiny toddler in front of the big whale at Marine World. There's pictures of me and my brothers together playing in the snow. There's pictures of me with my grandmother. And all this time, they're keeping me from my biological father. And the attorneys are like, look, you're going to need therapy. I'm sorry to say this, and then this probate case sort of exposed all of this to me because somebody was asking the right questions. And then I start to go back to my life growing up, and I'm like, Oh, yeah. So that one time that girl in that one town that I lived in was like, "Your parents are not good people. Come live with me, and my family loves you. Please, please get away from." I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! My parents are nice people. What are you talking about? Everything's fine." And and even my own brother's wife, his mom. I don't know what she would be to me. So
Her mom.
so my brother's wife's mom,
So
it
yeah,
would be like
your sister-in-law's mother.
my sister-in-law's mother. She goes, "So you never knew your biological father?" I said, "No." And she said, "It sounds like your parents or your mom maybe kept you from him." And I was like, "No, my mom would never do that." And she just looked at me like, "Oh boy, you're in denial." She gave me one of those looks, that people give when you're just totally clueless. So I've been in a state of like deep denial
We're
for
gonna
a
call you Queen
long
of Sheba, or Nefertiti, the Queen of Denial, right?
It's not a big deal because I have a good relationship with my brothers. I have, fairly good relationship with my mom. But the fact is to be told, "Oh, you don't have any rights because you're not like blood related to somebody," but then the very people that would keep me from having those rights are the ones to at fault. It's like you can't do that. And so I'm either going to expose all of this to the Florida probate court myself, and I have some support, from that. Some people in my life that are like, "You should totally do that," because I think Florida would get a good kick out of this, even if there's no money in those bank accounts that are in my grandmother's name, and there isn't. I spoke to the guy who kidnapped her, the guy who
Was
removed her from her
This-
apartment
the son of the half brother.
Yeah. So again, my grandmother's biological mother, who she never had a
You don't have
relationship.
to you don't have to say that. You just say what he
Well,
is.
because it's complicated.
Yeah, but you already went through that.
Yeah, but it's like her half brother's son, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, it implies that there's some sort of relationship there. They never knew each other.
Well, apparently she visited them.
She visited them occasionally later on in life after her only son, my father, died.
Yes.
So, and they got involved and wedged themselves into her life. But anyway, he was telling me, yeah, when we kidnapped her and we bought the he's like admitting to this. I have it recorded.
He didn't use those words.
Oh, and he's a politician.
So much.
He's a politician in Wisconsin too, so that makes it even more.
Okay, he's a councilman in a small
an alderman in a small shit ass town. Exactly.
Right. But yeah, politician all the same. But he didn't use so many words as like that, but he admitted that they moved her. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, and we went on spending sprees, like shopping sprees with her money." I'm like, okay. So the money's
Did he really say? He didn't say that.
He did say shopping
sprees. Yes.
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah.
So but the point is, as long as she's alive, she died in 2021. So between 2019 and 2021, she was apparently like going on shopping sprees and buying first class tickets to wherever the fuck, and they were having a great old time. As long as a person is alive, they can do whatever the fuck they want with their money, right? So that was fine. But I think the issue is, and the legal issue is, and the better thing to
pay attention
to is the fact that the person who removed her should have contacted her next of kin and said, "I just wanted you to know that your grandmother is okay. She's alive. We're moving her to Florida to be closer to some of her alleged family members." But none of that happened. So it turns out that my poor little brother, who was like 30 minutes away from the care home where she was living, never even knew she was there. They never even told him. And so there's definitely some really hinky stuff going on there. The story is so bizarre, and it's just totally like blown the lid off of my reality.
It jumped reality's shark.
It did. It jumped the shark of reality. It jumped the shark for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
Well,
I feel very untethered now.
Yeah, and I think, but in a broader context, it exposes the level of fraud that exists in our culture today.
How fraud is just so normalized
Yeah.
and lying.
Yeah.
And then people go, gosh, I can't believe that these children grow up and massacre their parents. I wonder why. It's like, really? You've
Oh.
never heard of the fucking scapegoat, triad effect and all that dysfunction in families,
So a lot of people have not. So
It's crazy.
So meanwhile,
So in November, so all
all
of this took place between July and November for me, right? And finally I just was like, wow, this is crazy. The way that I was able to reframe my existence, right? And then suddenly out of nowhere, Oprah Winfrey does this really crazy popular podcast about no contact. And you watched it.
I watched it with you.
Mhm.
And she's a shill, but
Mhm.
it was
For sure.
it was an interesting program. However, I really feel like she, because she is what she is. I don't know if I can call her a cutout, but I mean she does work in the apparatus, and I feel like she's sort of the herald for okay, now that we've done this show, it's showtime, folks, and we start hearing about parenticide, especially in a very big way with Reiner, right? But in the meantime, between the show and the Reiner murders, there was a lot of chatter about no contact and family of origin and scapegoats and then it popped up to the mainstream for a bit.
Oh my God. And the stories of abuse that some of these children who grew up to be adults that went no contact with their families of origin, the stories that they would tell. This one chick has this one TikTok channel where she's so normal. Like she's so chill about it. She's like, oh yeah, we'd have to get up every day and all 9 of us would line up and our father would, just beat the hell out of us and tell us we had to go to school. Like that was like a normal occurrence.
We had to grow up in the middle of the road.
And it was just like her life stories are so incredible. It's like, no wonder you're no contact with your parents.
Right.
So it's either you're no contact with your parents and you individuate and you go through the process of pulling yourself away from the trauma and pulling yourself away from the dysfunction, and you individuate, become your own person and self-actualized and find new love and become something stronger and better, or you become Nick Reiner.
Or you commit suicide.
Which is normally what happens.
Right.
Normally is scapegoated children or children who were kept from their biological families and told that they were something different, end up committing suicide because they have no clue who they are. They're just like, their reality has been so distorted and so screwed up.
So one of the discoveries that came out of that Oprah show was that 65% of the U.S. population has no relationship with their family of origin.
Right. 65%. So that means, 65 people out of every 100 people that you meet in life, they do not have a relationship with their parents for years.
Now, I don't know how accurate that statistic is, what the sample was they used for it, but that's
I believe
what they're
it.
saying. I kind of do.
There's a lot of people out there. I mean, there are so many people that don't have relationships with their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad, but it's not their fault.
Right.
They do it they do it for survival.
Self-preservation.
It's self-preservation.
So let's back up to September and just kind of like go through like some of the other things that are also like more death and dismemberment and the chaos, and she's just hanging out.
Okay.
She's doing the kitty cat pose. So this guy that not a lot of people know about, his name's Charlie Kirk. He somehow got himself killed. I don't know. But. So Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Well, I guess assassination is not the right word because that's only for state leaders. But he was murdered outright.
Yeah.
And people have been going on about how it was done and trapdoors and whatnot and
drones
and Egyptian planes and I don't care how he was killed. I just care that it happened and why. Why is always the question that nobody ever wants to talk about.
Well, there's a lot of people asking why.
Yeah.
One particular person, especially Candace
Yeah.
Owens, is asking why.
But again, this comes down to it's about fraud, financialization, killing somebody in order to gain power, money, and influence.
And wash that money. And then
I'm so sad about my husband dying.
Stop.
I'm grieving in my own way.
This is the 6th stage of grief. Sequence pantsuits and pyrotechnics. Yeah. No, it's so Brian Thompson, if you go back to the beginning of this podcast or this broadcast, Brian Thompson was the CEO of United Health, right?
Yeah, the
insurance
division.
Insurance division. Okay, so what a lot of people don't know is that the federal government had a lot of cases against UHG/Optum, and Thompson, Andrew Whitty, the CEO of Optum, and Stephen Helmsley,
who's now the CEO,
who is or was now the CEO of UHG, I think. They were all under deep investigation with the feds.
And they were being sued.
They were being sued, like in so many
multiple
different
courts,
ways. I suspect that Thompson had struck a deal, and that Helmsley and Whitty found out about it. Whitty kind of disappeared into the woodwork, suddenly resigned or quit or was fired. I don't know. And Helmsley went up the ranks, especially after Thompson died.
It's Sir Andrew Whitty to you.
Yeah, it's Sir Andrew Whitty. So the point is that it wasn't Luigi Mangione. I think it was an inside job. It was Michael Clayton. It was an inside job. He was probably working a deal with the feds. He was probably going to disclose trade secrets from, what was going on at UHG as far as how they were defrauding the federal government and using certain Medicare programs and certain insurance programs in order to do it. I mean, there was a lot of investigation going on. And these 3 were named in every single one of them. So, and if you take one look at Stephen Helmsley, I mean, you're talking about devil horns. I mean, the guy,
Mr. Burns,
man. The guy is so creepy looking. He looks like the kind of guy that would pay to have a hit on Thompson. I mean, he just screams it. Just look at him. So, I mean, this kind of stuff happens all the time in that sector in corporate America, big corporate America. Not little corporate
not murder necessarily, but the fraud.
Yeah. And then disappearing people. Usually what they do is they say, I want to quit, I want a severance, pay me, and I'll just go disappear. But I think what happened was Thompson was actually going to work a deal with the feds, and the company found out, the companies found out, and they were like, we can't have that. So, usually people just get their severance package and they get, their hundreds of millions of dollars, and then they just float away into their nonprofits.
Here's your severance package paid in lead.
Right. And they become like consultants
or whatever. Yeah.
Or they become, these experts that will speak at conferences, and, they're on the board. And so this is how you get them to go away when there's all of these federal investigations going on. But for some reason, they just decided to do it the way he just said. And I think what they did is they just poisoned him, and that he died. And that what the business of him walking in Manhattan and walking into his hotel that day, I think that was just old footage from a previous meeting that he was in, or it was just bullshit, maybe even AI. But I think that he'd been dead for a while. Like, I think he was probably just poisoned. So I guess that brings us to
1 year later
to Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Right. So that brings us to Charlie Kirk. lots of fraud going on in Turning Point USA. The company that he created, which was very grassroots and had a very sort of pure outlook, let's let's bring together both sides of the aisle. Let's cross the divide. Let's oh, the oligarchs. He was starting to really channel Bernie Sanders a la 2015. It was like, this is very interesting, and suddenly he's dead. So because this doesn't really match with the corporate stakeholders for Turning Point USA. The board had a different idea. They needed Israel lobby money. They needed nonprofits to shoot off of Turning Point USA in order to generate more money laundering schemes. I mean, there was a whole network, like a hydra of money funneling that was coming out of his original company. And this business with marrying this former beauty queen who was
From
in
the
a
CIA.
in a country music video and married to some country star for a while, and then she was on like The Bachelor. I don't know, like this business of marrying her. I just whatever.
Right.
I don't buy any of it. The only thing I really buy about her is that I think she was Catholic, and that I think he was converting to Catholicism.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Well,
the only thing that I
but-
think that's like sort of true.
What has also been floated out there is that her family was connected to the CIA.
And the Department of Defense.
Okay, the Department of Defense more
Yeah.
than anything.
So
Yeah.
right. So her father. And her mother was the CIA connection, I think, but her father was the Department of Defense. I think. Don't quote us on that. Yeah. So she is just like, asset all over the place,
Right.
honeypot, all that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that this is pretty common. Why they didn't just go to him and say, "Yo, Charlie, here's
Ixnay on the-
right, here's $100 million. I'm sorry, you can't scream about the oligarchs anymore and try to have these really great conversations with the trans community. That's just not going to work for us. Here's $100 million. Go away. We're going to take your company right out from under you." And he probably would have been like, "Okay, thanks," and just gone off and done something else. That's what I don't understand. It would have been so much better to do it that way than
You know why?
than
Be-
kill him.
Because a martyr
Oh,
is
right.
better to have
I forget about
as
the
a
whole martyr
symbol
thing.
to use
Yeah,
to
see,
get people on your side.
right. So a martyr, you have to have a martyr in order to continue the psychological operation that we're
Right.
always under.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. That's why your mothers are martyrs, because as a child you're being psychologically manipulated to believe certain things and behave certain ways.
Mhm.
Yeah, your childhood is a psychological operation.
Yeah.
It is.
It just is.
It is.
So-
Welcome to America.
America, right? Well,
it's called being an American.
right.
It really is.
Well, we're all slaves in this country, and we're told we're free every moment they get a chance.
So people ask me, a couple of my super close friends, and even him, he checks in with me once in a while. He's like, "Oh my God, you found out that this thing about how you were raised and these attorneys that you spoke to really reframed your sorry, too much water. Your life growing up. How are you handling it?" I'm like, "I'm fine, right?"
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
Mhm.
I can't do anything about it. And I'm 55, so I'm like, whatever. It's a little late.
Well, all the family members are
I
no
think,
longer with
yeah,
us.
so the biological father is gone. All of his brothers and sisters. He had like 5 or 6 brothers and sisters. They're all gone. He was the youngest of the family. There is a chef that I found who I have one picture of him, and it was before I was born. And I tore the house apart looking for that picture. We found it, thank goodness. And
He looks a lot like this dude.
this chef looks exactly like my biological father. Like they are like twins. And he's a chef that exists now. He has kids of his own. I forget where he lives, but I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is weird. So, and he has the same biological last name as I do. So that would be interesting. And I know people are like, you should really go for it. And you should expose all this. And maybe you should talk to some of those people that you think that might be related and all this. And I'm like, I've heard so many stories about people that say, "Oh, guess what? I'm related to you," and they get the door slammed in their face.
Yeah.
I have great brothers. I have a husband. I love my mother-in-law. Like, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You
There's no
know,
need.
now just because there's this misunderstanding about some fake attorney telling me I don't have any rights when I actually do because of the equitable adoption law, well, that can easily be remedied by just informing people of what the law is. It's that simple, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Um, so also, I guess in September, um, we've been talking a little. We've talked very little about AI. In
there's
this,
not much to say.
there's what is to say about AI, and I'll get into this thing in a moment. Is that we're told that, like I said earlier, we're told that jobs are being taken away by AI, and they're not necessarily the case. That's not really the case, and AI isn't really at its level it needs to be in order to do that, right? Both technically and, as it turns out, our power grid cannot support it.
Right.
This is why the need for lithium. They're looking to make shipping container size batteries
Right.
in order to store energy so that they can run data centers and AI technology, because our country cannot generate enough electricity
To
in order to
the
support the
AI.
AI. Now,
Yeah.
recently, in just this month, the city of San Francisco, during Christmas holiday, wasn't it,
Had a blackout.
had a blackout that lasted like 2 days.
And then the blackout went on to other regions in California.
And I'm,
Even
and
to
they said,
San
"Oh, this
Ramon."
thing blew. There was this fire at a station. Blah blah blah." Well,
Right.
that it has something to do with the fact that the system is the grid is being overused for Chat GPT. So that you can refine your business letter, or either that, or what's it called, Copilot on Teams. So
Yeah.
you
Or
know,
you can make that silly meme
right?
of Donald Trump's face on a cat or something.
Whatever, yeah, whatever you
It's
want to
like,
do.
that's what's overloading your power grids. That's what's causing people to have rolling blackouts for 2 weeks at a time in California.
So suddenly,
So
you know,
people can make AI memes.
so suddenly, the state of California, the fourth largest economy in the
hilarious.
world, is dealing with third world issues,
Mhm.
right?
Third world issues.
Or not even third world. I mean, even countries like Turkey have regular, like periods of time when their electricity goes
Developing
out.
country
Developing
issues.
countries. I would consider Turkey sort of a first world
Well,
country, but
Turkey is first one, but
they still have issues with
I'm-
their energy.
I'm reminding you that one time when I used the term third world, you got mad at me and said, "No,
They're developing countries.
they're called developing
Well,
countries."
that was when I was a little more,
You were more liberal.
yeah, PC kind of.
Mhm.
I've gotten a little more away from that, but you know, third world is an old way of describing it, though. People don't use it anymore,
don't
and so it's
really.
really not really worth
Yeah, it's
arguing over.
I would
And
never use third world in a
I'm surprised I
setting
did.
outside of this one. I know, right? I'm surprised you did too.
Yeah, I know. Well, developing countries,
Countries.
companies,
Developing
corporations.
companies.
Yeah, well,
Well,
they're all
these-
corporations.
These
right?
corporations are operating as if they are developing countries
Yeah.
or third world countries.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
National states, state
Yeah,
nationals.
it's really bad.
So that's what's going on with AI. AI doesn't have the capabilities that they say it does, and if it does, it's in the lab. It's in very small. It doesn't scale. Okay, and it will eventually take all our jobs away, because Julie did a piece about what was it called, AI, Roxy.
Uh-oh, is she scratching?
She's scratching the.
She has a scratching post, and she will not scratch on it. She
Yeah.
will only scratch on the couch.
or whatever.
Can someone please explain to me why a cat would do this?
She just
defies
got a
us.
squishy tossed at her. Oh, scratching the couch.
You throw these squishy balls at her.
Yeah.
Well, I
I
remember,
just softly tossed it
I
toward
remember,
her.
like, having a friend in California. I told you this, right? So I had this friend in California who, in San Francisco, and she had this black cat and she named the black cat Anathema,
Mm.
and anathema means like
Yeah.
pure evil. And this cat was, of course, crazy because black cats are, and so
Not
all,
Not all.
I know. So
Orange cats.
all
Oh, orange
over,
cats are.
yeah, orange cats are insane.
Yeah.
So all over her apartment, which was this really cool sort of noir apartment you would see in like a 1950s film, um, she had these little spray bottles, and on the spray bottle it would say cat repellent. And so whenever the cat would start acting up or scratching, she'd just grab the spray bottle and spray her and be like, anathema, and spray her. And so what happened was she had to learn. So the spray bottles are everywhere, and she kept spraying her, and anathema kept acting out and kept being bad. And she's like, I don't get it. And so she actually took the cat to the vet along with the spray bottle and said, I was told by a cat expert that to spray the cat with water, it would stop acting out, but she's not, she's still acting out. Like, what am I doing wrong? And here's the spray bottle I'm using. It's just got water in it. And the vet's like, you have to turn the nozzle not on mist. You have to turn it on spray. Like, so she would like spray anathema,
And it would.
and the cat would be like, "Oh, it's nice mist.
Right.
Thank you, mommy,"
you.
and like lick her, and then continue to be bad. So she had to turn it to like a sharp spray, like so that helped.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
but I'm not
meantime-
gonna.
In the meantime, anathema is going.
Yeah, probably.
Wow. So okay, what were we talking about? Cats. All right. So AI. Yeah. So OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, Sam Altman, and NVIDIA. NVIDIA.
So
Uh,
explain what NVIDIA does.
NVIDIA is a chip manufacturer. They started out. They make. They're not. What are they called? They're called.
Lithium? No.
Yeah, they're a specific type of chip, and they started out using them in gaming because they.
GPU? No.
GPU, not a CPU. They're a GPU. Thank you.
Ooh, their stock is down.
All right.
Down. Yeah, big time.
That's so cool. That's good.
It is good.
It is good.
It is good.
So they make GPUs, which were used in gaming, right? Because it needed more power.
GPUs are graphics processing units.
Right.
Okay.
So they're set up to process more information quickly, more quickly. So for graphics that move, things like that. Turns out they're also really good for processing the information required, or the speed required to do AI. And suddenly, out of nowhere, in the last couple of years, they became this just bazillion growth, whatever. They made all this money, and they're huge, right? And so they partnered with OpenAI, and then NVIDIA announced its intent to invest up to $100 billion in OpenAI to finance the construction of a massive AI data center or data centers. And so how are they going to power all these data centers?
Tax dollars.
Right. So
your electric bill is going to go.
So that's the other thing too.
Hi.
Thank you. It's not tax dollars necessarily.
No,
We're paying for it through our high.
We pay
power
$300 a month,
for our
and we don't
electricity.
really use all that much electricity.
Well, we have air conditioning. We're in the South, and so we're using air conditioning a lot during the summer months. We're not even in the hot part of the state. So basically, AI and the powering of AI is being paid for on the backs of consumers. And that's how they're going to do it. That's how they're going to create all these, at least economically, right? Infrastructure-wise, they still have to solve a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And I think those batteries I was talking about will do it. But again, they've got to get the lithium out. And lithium is so not toxic for for people. Lithium mining
He's
and
lying.
I'm lying. I'm being
Mhm.
sarcastic. Lithium mining and
You can't be
lithium
sarcastic
development.
anymore.
Well, I was going to follow that up with the fact.
Okay.
Lithium mining and lithium development and storage and manufacturing is one of the most toxic substances out there. And you'll have, if you have a fire like they did in Ohio recently, probably this year, at a plant, basically you can say goodbye to your town, um, because you probably won't ever get to go back home.
Wow, that's really terrible.
I mean, we're talking,
And of course, they're going to go to like poor communities,
well, they're
right?
building one in
It's not like you're,
Mississippi, right?
yeah, of course. And it's not, but not in our community. We're on the Gulf Coast,
Yeah, so
so
they're gonna take,
they're going to go send to
you
the
know,
interior of the
right,
state.
and Mississippi is one of the poorest states in the country, if not the poorest state in the country, and they're going to
It's,
go to a community that's in deep poverty. We witnessed some of these kinds of things going on in the area of Pittsburgh, where we lived. We lived
mhm.
in a neighborhood. It was a small community just over the city line, city and county
15-minute
line.
bus ride outside
Oh,
of Pittsburgh.
we were in the same county, but yeah,
Mhm.
with the city line. Yeah, we were 15. We were closer to downtown Pittsburgh than a lot of people who live in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how close we were. But it was still its own community. But it was a very poor community, and not far from where we lived, they had developed in another community a factory that I guess it recycled plastic,
Okay, yeah.
and it was really toxic, and it
Yeah.
made a lot of noise. They call it the crack factory, the
Remember
cracker factory.
Palestine, Ohio?
Yeah, and then there
Yeah.
was that whole train wreck in Palestine. So, they talk about environmental justice, but it's only talk, and it comes from liberal nonprofit foundations and
Mhm.
nonprofit organizations and NGOs, and
Mhm.
it's all talk.
Just like
Um,
harm reduction.
just like yeah, harm reduction or
Harm redu
equity and all
Right.
that stuff, right? Nothing ever gets done about it, and the people who are really affected by it are the poorest in our society. um, and we were witness to this, and we're seeing it take place in the South and other regions where there's a lot of poverty. And this is how they're going to build this infrastructure. This is how they're going to get even richer by basically enslaving more people, by poisoning more people, and by committing more fraud and stealing money from everybody in the country. Via like, oh, your power bill just went up.
Mhm.
Why did our bill go up?
Right, and
Nothing's really changed.
where are my taxes going?
Where like,
Yeah.
why did the power go up? I'm using the same amount of energy as before. Why is the energy cost more? I mean, there's no reason for that,
Right.
right? That's a static thing generally.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about?
Hmm.
The government shutdown.
Well, I was getting to that
Oh, okay.
next.
All right,
So
good.
speaking of the government, well, I wasn't, but
That was in for the whole month of October.
that was for the whole month of October. That was October and into November. No, I guess
It was the longest government shutdown in
Yeah.
history.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and a lot of that.
Was cover for.
Well, you go into it. You.
Well, I know of one big story, and it was cover for a lot of things, right? Um, and everybody was sort of on edge because it was the longest government shutdown in
Mm-hmm.
history. But Trump approved legislation. It needs to be passed, but he introduced legislation to remove states' rights regarding AI. So California has some of the strongest environmental protections rights against the very thing that we're talking about regarding AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Trump did is he introduced legislation to weaken states' rights, okay, and make it a federally uh, a federal program, which means that it would be like really weak. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like AI
Override states' rights.
override states' rights, and I don't think that there would be heavy federal protections for people with the with the AI initiatives, which cause a lot of ecological and environmental and health issues.
Hmm.
Whew, a lot.
Hmm.
Cancer goes up. I mean, I think that a lot of the health issues that we're seeing, especially with the rise of cancer diagnoses and deaths, and these really fast,
Aggressive
aggressive
cancers.
cancers that people think it's maybe it's the shots and stuff, but I think it's also the environment because of what's happening with AI and
Hmm.
what they need to do in these regions to source to
Physically from the generation of
yeah,
AI. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I think that it's a 360 assault. It's
Yeah,
not just
yeah,
through the shots. It's
right.
through your environment. It's through technology.
Well, and
Um, so
the curtailment of, and so here's something else that really like fries my whatever. I don't have the metaphor ready.
too tired.
Mm. Is that everybody's always talking about the liberals and even conservatives. People are always talking about global warming and all that stuff, but they never ever, and whatever about whatever you believe about global warming, set that aside because that's not the issue.
Hmm.
The issue at hand and what's really causing a lot of problems in health and degradation of the environment is not global warming but pollution. Pollution has not been talked about in years and
Mm-mm,
decades.
ever. Yeah,
And
hardly.
the regulations around water and air quality have gone down. The and in favor of business,
Ooh,
right?
sorry. Hmm.
Sorry, it's getting late.
Sorry.
Corporations are basically paying for their ability to say, yeah, we can pollute the water now and we can pollute the air now. And, as long as you keep paying attention to global warming, we can do all this stuff and you won't know about it. And I think that this is also part of, like what you're talking about. It
Hmm.
fits right into what you're saying is that the environmental issues, the pollution, are and the electromagnetic frequencies I
Hmm.
would consider also part of pollution.
Hmm.
And this is coming through in like large towers for microwave towers for cell phones and whatever version of G they're up to these days and all these things are going to come into play in affecting our health,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
And so it's like you said, it's a 360 assault.
yeah, yeah. It is. Um,
I think we're up to December.
yeah, that was. I guess Rob Reiner's murder was this month,
Yep.
and the discovery around that is. It's like its own podcast.
Well, you did do a couple on it.
I've tried. I've tried to unpack it, and every day it gets more and more.
Just weird, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, um, like it's weird because I came out early and said that I think that Reiner Nick, um, yeah, sure, he was probably a drug addict. Yeah, he was a drug addict, but he was also in and out of psychiatric institutions basically his whole life. And so every time he had a thought or said a thing or wanted to be a person, his parents were like, "Up, back to the psychiatric institution you go, you scapegoat, you." Oh, here, let's fill you with all these drugs. Try this mood stabilizing drug. Try that mood stabilizing drug. It's like they were creating what did they think was going to
Well,
happen?
these
Like
drugs are known for suicidal
they're known for
ideation.
suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation, and that's what his attorney is now coming out and saying. So, but I also think that you have all these other trending like TikTok videos of parents going, "Okay, so my 17-year-old just did $300,000 worth of damage to my house because I told him to take out the trash. It's like, I'm pretty sure your 17-year-old didn't destroy your fucking house because you told him to take out the trash. Maybe it's because he was scapegoated his whole life and he's never been told he was a scapegoat. He doesn't know how to individuate. He doesn't know how to process that. He doesn't know how to shut down and go gray rock.
Or you push like pharmaceuticals
Or you push pharmaceuticals into his system and he became a raving lunatic. Like, that's what's going on, you know? So I think that this story of Reiner and his wife being killed is opening up a conversation around these types of drugs and these types of relationships that people have. If you go and watch an interview that Rob Reiner gave with his son regarding a movie they did together called Being Charlie back in 2016, Rob Reiner was such a freaking narcissist. He's like, I learned a lot how to be a better parent, and I was this, and I was that, and I. Meanwhile, his son, who the story was actually about, was just like playing with his microphone. He's like, oh, there goes dad again, bloviating and being a narcissist and sucking all of the energy out of the room. Like, this kid just shut down. So I'm not saying that there's definitely something wrong. And then heard about, I don't want to say who, but heard about a friend of ours had a coworker who just a couple of days ago was murdered by her son. Like, he just shot her 8 times, I guess.
At the other end of the economic spectrum.
Right, at the other end of the economic spectrum. He's not going to get the kind of trial and the kind of investigation that representation that Nick Reiner will get. But this $200 million estate that Rob Reiner had been able to accumulate, all this money he'd been able to make for himself, is now going to be siphoned off into court fees and filing fees and attorneys' fees, and it's just going to go into all these different agencies and all these different everything. Like, it's not at all what he wanted for his legacy, right? He wanted to be able to leave his children.
So as we were talking about how, even the Hollywood leader being attacked financially, if not like physically and like mortally, they're not just being attacked financially. Now they're actually killing people in order to withdraw that money from.
He's a bank account. He's an ATM machine, and the psychiatric industry used him as an ATM machine through his son.
But now that the rest of the money is going to get extracted through, like you said, attorneys' fees, the courts, and things like that. This is what
media.
This is what we mean by financialization of people. The whatever apparatus is involved, gets money from you through either you get laid off and you get into debt, and and debt is like basically we're entering in, or we're part of an ongoing debt economy now. We're no longer a consumer economy, consumer society. We are a debt economy, and everybody
in every way,
and everybody's involved in it unless you have made great strides in keeping yourself out of it. It is a game once you enter into it. In some cases, you have to enter into it because there's no way to survive otherwise. And this debt peonage is going to be part of the ongoing, slavery that goes on in the United States, whether it's wage slavery, actual slavery if you're in prison, or debt peonage, right? And so we're all being financialized, and even people like Rob Reiner and his family are now being financialized through this apparatus called the legal system.
Randy Quaid came out and made this really bold statement around the time of Gene Hackman's death, and he basically sort of acted as a whistleblower. He's like, you know, I had hundreds of millions of dollars. It all went to agents, attorneys, um, uh, image makers. It all went to, you know, tied up with lawyers in my property. And it just, he was just basically like extorted and just used like their personal ATM machine. So
Mhm.
that's
John
that's what's really going on.
John Cusack came out too and
And
started
said
talking about
said the
that.
same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's, you know, and I don't have a lot of sympathy for the Hollywood elite in that, you know, whatever, but I do have sympathy for them as people. Um, watching as the wealth that they accumulated through their work is being dwindled, you know, like drained away through means that they didn't really ever expect to happen,
Hmm.
you know, or that, you know, if you get murdered for, you know, being in the way, because, you know, some of the podcasts and audios that Julie was doing about Rob Reiner indicate that he was starting to cross the aisle, sort of like Charlie Kirk, because he was
Hmm.
commenting on Charlie Kirk.
Yes. That's another
And
thing.
so
Right.
we can't be
Right.
brought together. We cannot
Right.
have people connecting and going, we don't need those assholes in Washington anymore who insist that we belong to Camp A
Hmm.
blue or Camp B red, and we can't be Coke or Pepsi. We can't be
Right.
Mac or PC. We you know, we want to be people. We want to be, and we
Right.
don't want you anymore. We
Right.
don't want your camp, your bullshit anymore.
And the people who say exactly what he just said, if they're worth $200 million, then they need to be silenced. Like
Mhm.
he definitely. And so, what better way to silence him than by using a patsy, but a real patsy? Like, oh, look at this. We don't need to.
We don't need.
We don't need to
We don't need
fabricate.
Luigi Mangione.
Right, or a disgruntled trans person, right?
Right.
You know, um, we have a son who is, you know, his brain is fried from all of the drugs that he's been on, that he's been prescribed. You know, he's got one day he's suicidal, the next day he's homicidal. Like he's a perfect person for to shut Reiner up, who was starting to feel concerned about uh, how Charlie Kirk's message was reaching across the aisle, and that suddenly Charlie Kirk was dead. He was starting to be like, wait, I know I'm a meathead, but I'm putting two and two together. You know, like, wait, he was saying these things and now he's dead.
Mm,
Hmm.
mm,
Yeah, and now he's dead. So, you know, you can't, if
right.
you're that kind, if you have that much money, then you have a lot of influence.
Well, I think they're also telling people who have influence to shut the fuck up.
Right. So it's it's really interesting. I was thinking about, remember I told you about Kate Bush
Mhm.
and how she has her own record company and her own label.
I mean, she probably owns the publishing rights on her.
She owns all the
music.
publishing rights on her music, and with the um bringing her 1980, and it was 1985, her 1985 hit Running Up That Hill, uh back into, you know, the modern
The contemporary music world or whatever.
contemporary music world through the show Stranger Things. um she has been able to amass about
2, 3
two
years.
or 3 years around $11 million because of that,
Just in royalties.
just in royalties. Because she owns everything, because
Yeah.
she didn't
Well, I guess record sales too, but still.
she didn't like hire other people. She kept everything like in her name,
Mhm.
and she doesn't have an army of lawyers and exploiters all around her, like Quaid and Cusack were talking about. And I'm sure Reiner was thinking that way too. And Hackman was like, what the, you know, like,
Mhm.
what are all these fucking vultures doing in our lives? Like, so, but she's also from England. So they maybe do things differently there. I don't know. But I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just like, it just makes you think that if you do want to get creative and you do want to be, and you do make a hit, that you better,
You have to protect that.
you better
Yeah.
protect it.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I know Ani DeFranco also created her own label, Righteous Babe Records.
mhm. Now, whether she owns the copy, the
Mhm,
publishing, right? Publishing is the big thing.
mhm,
That was one thing that, oh hell, I can't think of his name now. Ray Charles
mhm.
insisted on was that he owned the publishing rights to his music. He demanded this after he became very popular, and because he knew that that's where the money was. So he basically was working toward his own autonomy. He knew that as a blind man, he was being cheated, and that
Mhm,
he had to make sure that he was protected financially,
mhm,
and that also creatively,
mhm.
right? That he owned all aspects of his creative work, right? I mean, I was playing a record earlier this afternoon, and you remember I was telling you about this band that I knew when I was younger.
Mhm.
They went nowhere, but they were smart. They did the very same thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
They had the label,
Mhm.
they had the copyright or
Mhm.
whatever, and all the everything associated, and they had the publishing rights too
Right.
to all their music. And
Mhm.
so if they had become more popular,
Yeah, then they would be okay
okay, they'd be
financially.
right from the start, right?
Mhm.
The other thing about like the publishing is that if you a lot of touring bands will collect the little royalties for playing their own music in a venue because of the publishing. So you've heard of BMI,
Mhm.
and there's another one. This is how they do that. Publishers are BMI and I forget the other one, and they collect the little royalty amounts from radio stations, venues, and clubs that play. So if you've got a cover band in there, you've got to pay for all the music that's being played to the publishing companies, and then they get that they send that money out to the artists who's being covered or who's like whatever,
Are
right?
we on a time limit
We're not
with
well.
Streamlabs? I'm just
Kind
curious.
of, but not kind of. I mean, if we
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, we're getting up to about what I would like to do is so basically, I guess this is one way. This is basically what Gene Hackman was killed over because he owned
He
everything
owned
associated.
everything of
Right,
himself.
but if
Yeah.
you're Kate Bush, you're not going to worry about that too much.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, what I would like to do is to close this out. I like these few paragraphs that you wrote. Can you read
Oh.
them?
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then I want to close out with one other thing
Okay.
that I didn't write down,
Okay.
but that
All
I'm
right.
thinking of. Okay, so amnesia is demanded of you. Okay. You can't remember. Refusal of history prevents any real intimacy or accountability. The intimacy is based on a shared history, on working together through ruptures to create a strong repair. The repair process requires acknowledging that there was a rupture or a wrongdoing, and that we've learned we've learned that individuals cannot or will not acknowledge their part in the wrongdoing. Therefore, your memory is viewed as a direct threat. Because you have a good memory, you have the uncanny ability to track patterns. When Nick Reiner corrected Rob Reiner's account of something by having a better memory of the event, it was a direct threat to Rob's ego. So, what I'm saying is that by having a memory and being able to process information and having the ability to acknowledge that there was a rupture and that by by whether it's in a relationship or whether it's with a worldview, a rupture in your
Or
government,
calling out fraud
a
or
calling out the
whatever.
fraud, whatever it is that you're doing, the calling it out is considered a direct threat from them because you have a memory, you remember. Um, and so it's important that your memory go away. And how do you make a memory? How do you
Yeah,
fracture a person's memory?
through stress.
Through stress and trauma. That's why we have two fires in Europe right now. Right now.
Mhm.
Okay, so 2025 was a year of discovery, and with that discovery comes trauma bonds. From ghost jobs to rapid unemployment to open murder, the bonds of trauma are actually 200% stronger than love bonds. Operatives are looking for you to bond with them and replace sincerity with your trauma bond. So, the love of your parents is pretty strong. People say, oh, there's no stronger bond than the
And
love of a mother for her child. That's actually bullshit.
and family ties are
And family
stronger, blood
ties.
is thicker than water.
The bonds of trauma are 200% stronger than those family bonds. That means that all those children that have been traumatized are now bonded to their trauma more than they are bonded to their rescuers, more than they are bonded to the healing process and to the love process. It takes a lot of work to unbond from that trauma, right? So we are a species that is evolved to be cooperative, but it seems the modern world has no place for humans. And as a species, we have to evolve to this new dynamic. With the normalization of narcissism and psychopathic behavior and the introduction of psychotropic and mood stabilizing drugs prescribed by the psychiatric community, we have to now operate in a more deadly existence, almost primal. Children are committing parenticide, suicide, and homicide is on the rise as a result of these interventions. We can't simply stay where we are on the evolution. I don't think I finished my sentence. We
Oh,
can't
no.
we can't stay where we are in evolution. We have to evolve.
Okay.
Okay, and I think you kind of disagreed with that a little bit. Like we kind of got into a little
Did I?
because I was like, you were like, well, we're a cooperative species and we need to cooperate.
Oh,
And
I
I'm
see what you're
like,
saying. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
that's based on the fact that's based on, a species that doesn't have this incredible rise of narcissism and psychopathic behavior that's just run rampant
Right.
through our
And,
culture.
and you've been saying, you have to become the psychopath. You have to become the narcissist.
Well, you have to be able to you have to be able to acknowledge your shadow side. This is very Jungian, I
Right.
guess.
Yes.
I don't
And I agree
pretend
with
to be
that.
an expert
Yeah, well,
at any of this.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
But it seems like the only way to really protect yourself from being murdered is to go icy cold towards your murderer and towards the people who want to hurt you. And we've been told our entire life to be warm and gentle and kind and loving. And I think that the more people I see, and I guess this is going to sort of segue into my next comment, is I see a lot of people who are brilliant and passionate and deserve to be, deserve so much more than what they're getting, and they're just devastated by the pain from their own family, the pain from people that they trusted. They are in such deep, deep grief and pain that I'm terrified that their brilliance and that their light will go away because of the trauma. Because those trauma, like I said, those trauma bonds are really, really strong. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's why Stranger Things was so freaking popular, because people could identify with their innocent childlike self being captured in this, whatever this horrible thing is, with this thing down their throat, and their bodies are trapped and they can't move,
Right.
and they're stuck in a space of delusion
Mm-hmm.
while all of their goodness is being drained out of them.
And their energy being used for something else.
There's a reason this is the #1 show in the entire globe, not just this country. The whole world is traumatized right now.
Well, I think, another
And they get it.
Another show that illustrates some of this is Fallout.
On Amazon.
On Amazon, and Fallout talks about,
Yeah.
or it just it probes the whole thing with being icy cold to your killers, or what identity is, and what family is, and what your relationship is, and how you're raised and what you're dealing with, and trauma that's out there. It's a very good illustration of all the things that you just said. It's not as direct, or maybe as it's definitely not as popular as um, Stranger Things.
Mhm.
But it comes from a video game, and I guess it's like the most popular video game of all time. So that's
Yeah.
saying something. But I think
Yeah.
the dramatic uh, interpretation of that in this show called Fallout is also a very good metaphor for what we're discussing here. So check that
Yeah.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah. Thanks for letting me read that. I had totally forgotten that I wrote
yeah.
these things.
Well, I saw it and I started looking it over, and I'm like, this is actually worth just like reading out loud.
Yeah. I think the greatest threat is your memory. Uh, the greatest threat to the people that want to try to destroy you
Hmm.
is your memory, um, and being able to, because and you're going through something similar like that in
Hmm.
your personal situation, and, which we can't get into, but it's really interesting to see how the narcissist in your life just goes completely blank when you correct a statement because you have such a good memory.
Hmm.
You have a really good memory, and uh, narcissists. So we'll end this
Hmm.
by saying that I believe my opinion about narcissists and some of this really dark behavior. I used to think that it was a result of trauma, and I think that that informs it still. And I think that it's like, oh, hurt people hurt people. That was like a really
Pretty trite.
easy trite cliche for people to reach to. But I'm actually learning more through um, oh, what's his name? I just mentioned him too.
Peter.
Peter Salerno.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
That it's actually hereditary. And he believes that it's hereditary, and he caught a lot of backlash from, I think, from Sam Backman, who's supposed to be the ultimate, the most highly regarded expert on narcissism out there. He got a lot of backlash from various people in the community for saying, actually, I think that some of these dark traits are inherited and that it goes beyond just trauma. There are people that have never been traumatized, never, grew up in really healthy, loving, supportive, nurturing environments that are have homicidal tendencies and narcissistic tendencies. And if you look through like their history, there's history of schizophrenia, there's history of and that was one of the first things when I first started really learning about narcissism and the the dysfunctional triad in the family, where you
Hmm.
have the scapegoat, the enabler, and then the golden child. um, my first thought was, I wonder if this is inherited, like if these are inherited traits. Um, and that was 2015
Hmm.
when I first started thinking about it. And then I kind of got away from it. And so now, 10 years later, I'm like, oh, it actually is. They're really finding, like, there was a study where twins who were separated at birth both grew up in I think the study was that both grew up in really nurturing environments, and one became narcissistic and psychopathic, and the other didn't. I forget how
Yeah,
it
I forget
is,
how he was.
but it was this study with these twins to prove that it wasn't the environment. It proved that it wasn't low self esteem or trauma or whatever, or abuse, that it was hereditary. And I think that with this new spate of parenticide, and
At least it's being promoted
that's
by
being
the Yeah.
promoted and is actually happening in communities, um, I think we can look at well, first we need to find out, are they on, prescribed medication, which promotes suicidal and homicidal ideation? And also we should look at family history. So, you know, I know somebody who, um,
See?
I know somebody whose brother is schizophrenic, and so the brother is schizophrenic, right? And then the brother didn't have any kids, but the sibling did, and so the children of the sibling who was not schizophrenic is not schizophrenic, but the children of the sibling are showing signs of a psychopathy. At least two of them.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're girls too. The boys aren't showing any indicators of this, but I've, I've been talking to this person and it's very interesting. So, again, they have this uncle who is schizophrenic. And even though the uncle didn't have any children and never married, um, his sibling had children, and of the children that his sibling had, they had children, and so it's skipping a generation, is what I'm trying to say. Um, and I was wondering about that, and I got confirmation. That's what's so weird is that's another discovery in 2025. Back in 2015, I actually asked one of the most renowned analysts, psychologists out there who happened to luckily be mine for a little bit. I happened to just accidentally have him as a therapist when I was going through some deep anxiety of my own through my work situation. And another situation that happened with a former roommate, which was terrifying. I asked him outright, I asked him point blank, is it possible for schizophrenia to be inherited? And he's like, oh, no, 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 no. No, no, no. And he went on to quote the DSM model and
Right.
the diagnostic, that all licensed, professionals use. And it's the mainstream, it's the mainstream analysis of this. And so Peter Salerno's position is very controversial right now, or it was like a year ago.
Well, I think it still is. I think
And
he's
it's
still
still
catching
kind of
flack. Yeah.
But I really do think
You go
that,
against the establishment, you're going to catch flack.
right. It's like you go to your doctor, and your doctor might say, "Does your family have a history of heart disease? Does your family have a history of high cholesterol?"
Yeah. Why would the brain be any different?
Why would the brain or personalities be any
Traits, yeah.
different? Personality traits be any different? So I think that if you're dealing with people in your life who are hurting you, there's the response to that is, oh well, hurt people, so we need to be kind to them. No. Don't hurt the people that are trying to oppress you. Don't try to reason with your oppressors.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Get away from them. Protect yourself, individuate, and find people who will help bring the light back. Because I think this is what's next, is that people who are really, really brilliant and really, really good at analyzing really important things to help us get through whatever it is whatever it is we have to get through in this time. Their light is fading because of their grief and because of the pain that has been inflicted on them, and it's not anything that they asked for. And that's what's so tragic about this. And so, it's always the good ones that get killed. It's always the good ones that they try to, snuff out the light. So
yeah,
if not, that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, if not like kill them outright, snuff out the light.
Yeah, and just put them in a space of deep grief and deep pain, and where it's so difficult to function. We've all been there, and we've all had to pull ourselves out of these really dark spaces.
But now I think it's even harder than ever.
It is.
Yeah.
So connection is really important.
All
All
right.
right.
Yeah. Well, wow.
Mhm.
That's been
Well,
you know,
Happy New Year.
yeah.
Thank you for tolerating us for all
Well,
these hours.
that's 8 months of bookmark that haven't gone on, right? So
yeah. So
you know,
we used to do these regularly,
we
and
started weekly.
they would last about an hour
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But 2 cross country moves in 5 years, huge life changing discoveries about about family of origin, job loss, job gain, and all the stuff that comes with that.
Yeah.
It's been impossible
So
to dedicate as much time to this
the
channel.
last 10 years have been really crazy.
Yeah, it
And
has.
like Julie said, in the last 5 years, well, in a period of 5 years, we're going back 7 at this point, but within that 7 years, 5 years of time, the first 5 years of that time, we moved from San Francisco to Pittsburgh. And then after 5 years, we moved to the Gulf Coast in Mississippi from Pittsburgh. That's many days of travel and investment in time and money. And it's taken, when I was in Pittsburgh, it took me 2 years to kind of regain my creative footing. And I'm finding the same thing with the move to Mississippi. I'm only now starting to regain my creative footing again, to where I'm starting to play music and think about making visual art again. So hopefully in the future, Book of Hours will be hosting some other content that's more than just this. But I kind of miss the bookmark. I think the reason we were so sloppy, and the reason that the show notes and the dates were all so sloppy, I think also our delivery tonight has been kind of like, we're kind of all over the place. But
it's also the first day of the year.
It's the first day of the year.
It's
We're
also,
a little sleep deprived.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I think
for
also,
real.
but we just haven't been practicing. We haven't been doing this show very much at all. We haven't done one for 8 months or more. And so I think that that's also influencing, the delivery tonight. But for those of you who are watching, thank you for joining us. And for those of you who are watching the recorded version, thank you for sticking with this entire broadcast. Do you have any other thoughts, Julie?
No, I mean, I think that we should be prepared for some shit in 2026. I think it's going to be a kinder, gentler year, maybe on a personal level. Like for us, I think it's going to be kinder and gentler to us because everything from the discovery of heart tumors to the discovery of what happened in my family of origin and my grandmother. This is all personal stuff, and that hit me. It's just like I just kept getting hit. Just kept getting punched. I think 2026 is going to be kinder and gentler, but I think on a national scale, there's going to be some shit that goes down. I mean, we're talking about what was that term that I found? That financial term?
Oh, yeah, Sigma
A
event.
Sigma event. So
Yeah.
we're looking at some real financial stuff. This is why silver suddenly shot through the roof, and then it's starting to trickle down a little. So just
well,
going
and
to
then
be something.
Also astrologically, the Chinese year of the horse is coming up to replace the year of the snake, which Julie did a whole series of podcasts on.
Called Year of the Snake, and it's based on this probate case and the discoveries around it.
Yeah,
right.
And the shedding of skin, right? So this year has been hard on a lot of people, if not everybody.
And I thought it was just us, but the more I talk to people in real life, the more I'm learning that people went through some serious stuff this year, like really painful stuff this year. And I'm like, okay, so it wasn't just me. And you have to recall that when a snake sheds its skin is when the snake is the most vulnerable. So it's during that time when he's, rubbing his body up against that rock to get rid of that skin, that's when the predator comes and kills him, because that's when he's his most vulnerable. So the year of the snake made a lot of us vulnerable. We had to shed some old ideas and some old
habits and
ways. And also for me, I think I was in denial about some things. And so I had to shed some skin, and it made me very vulnerable.
Mhm.
And that vulnerability caused some health problems.
Mhm.
It left an opening for the stress of the knowledge of what I was discovering in 2025. That stress translated to a heart tumor. It
Mhm.
translated to lack of blood flow and some other issues,
Mhm.
which were life threatening for
Mhm.
a bit and kind of still are, but I'm managing. So, it's,
Yeah.
I think the year of the horse is going to be, we're all going to be stronger. Horses are very strong,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Well, we'll all get some ivermectin. And,
The
no,
horse
I'm
paste.
the horse. No, but I'm serious.
Mhm,
It's yeah. It should be a better year. Because that stuff, there's something to it. There's millennia of practice. In this Chinese year of whatever, right? The Chinese astrology, and some of it is cultural, but I think there's something to it energetically and spiritually.
mhm,
And these traits that are applied to people and things that go on within these identified years that are tagged with animal
mhm,
qualities.
mhm.
um, there's a lot of truth to them, and I put a lot of
You're not the
faith
only
in
one.
that, and I'm
Yeah.
not the only one. Well, I mean, there's a whole culture of people that
Mhm. You're right.
make up a big part of the population, right, of the
Mhm,
world.
mhm.
So
They have parades about it every
they have
year
parades about it
in
every
their
year. So,
neighborhoods.
right.
Yeah.
So
Also, corporations tend to, follow these kinds of things as well.
I
You've
imagine
got
they do. Yeah.
stakeholders that pay attention to uh, everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
So
Trends and yeah.
it's not just woo.
Right.
It's a thing.
And so I think also, the world, life, our life, and the world we live in is cyclical, right? And so it goes in cycles, and astrological,
Astrological.
Jesus, that astrological system um, is very cognizant of that, right? And the Western astrological system is as well, but this is much more defined, I think. And because it encompasses a whole year, um, and a cycle of 12 years,
Mm,
that you can gain insights from what these qualities are and what these traits are that you're looking for, and understand how to navigate the world and your life using those as markers and as oracles.
right. It's true. Yeah.
You know,
You can. You
yeah,
can.
you don't have to take it literally, but if you look at certain traits and look at certain things, you can use those as markers as you go along.
Right.
And so that's
If
all I have to
you
say about that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you gotta align yourself with the right kind of people, and if you don't follow these really just kind of generic, basic, uh, sort of if you don't navigate through that a little bit, you can find yourself in, like, really abusive, toxic relationships.
Hmm.
You have to align with the right
Hmm.
person,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Um,
Yeah. So
so if that's what you want, if you wanna be alone, you wanna be alone, but I think most people don't wanna be
well,
alone.
we're not
We're not
creatures that are
meant to
meant to
be
be alone.
alone,
Right. Right.
right? Yeah, there's something
So
wrong. I think there's something wrong with people who say, "Oh no, I don't want to be coupled with anyone." It's like, hmm, I'm
well,
not sure
yeah, I think
that's.
that might be a modern situation, but it,
Yeah.
it may not be. I don't know.
Hmm.
But that's another podcast.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking
Um,
with us this whole time.
yeah,
Uh, it's almost 10 o'clock here, so.
it's almost 3 hours of broadcasting too. So,
Yeah.
thanks for sticking with us, and we will see you another time. Julie will continue her podcasts and audio
Hmm.
releases. I will be in and out over the next few months, and maybe we'll start showing you some other things. Thanks,
Hmm.
CB. It's been, so CD says, thanks, JP and Julie. It's been interesting and also appreciate the humor. Good to see you back on this format. Thank you.
Thanks.
I
yeah.
know we need to do more of these. There, and
Yeah.
I need to like update the introduction and stuff. So
Look, 2025 kicked our ass.
it really did.
It really
2025 did kick our ass. Somebody says, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that's all that there's.
Right. So he said, Sam Vaknin says, isolation and solitude is most natural. That to be together is to make a shared fantasy. Well, I think he's an asshole.
Oh my
I don't
God.
like
Yeah.
Vaknin, and I especially hated him during the COVID period. He was a real dickhead. So,
who said that? Who made that comment?
Lee.
Hi, Lee. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. Well,
thank you, Lee.
thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
And have a great year. And we'll see you again very soon, I'm sure.
I know. He's interesting. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. That's always a loaded word.
Yeah. Watch. I can't think of it.
Dude from England.
Peter Salerno.
Oh, Peter Salerno.
Yeah.
Peter Salerno.
Check him out.
Yeah.
Check him
Peter
out.
Salerno. Yeah. All right. Cool. We're outie.
Bye.
Bye. Great chat. Miss you. Happy New Year too.
Happy New
Year. Okay.
Bye.
Bookmark is made possible by our patrons and supporters. You can help us continue our work by becoming a patron at patreon.com/bookofhours. Join Rockfin or leave us a tip at rockfin.com/bookofhours, or leave us a one-time donation at paypal.me/bookofhours. Or you can use Cash App. Thank you.